And you want to go, man? I really need that, mate.
I sent you the link. We're live, dude.
Oh.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Anime Collector.
a rare random pony.
Welcome to the OCA Podcast with myself and Don Jobo Agi.
Oh, yes.
All right, so a couple things I want to talk about before we get too far into things. It's been an exhausting day for me. Normally, I go to bed at around noon, and I get up at like 7:30 for the podcast, just so I'm super well rested. I usually work on a night schedule anyway. Today, I had a doctor's appointment for a prenatal doctor's appointment for my wife, super early in the morning, and then we had to go back to the hospital at 5 to meet with the pediatrician. So I'm kind of tired. I also took, between the morning appointment and the night appointment, I took a NyQuil and slept for 3 hours, and it hasn't quite come off yet. So I'm drinking a Red Bull to try to counteract it, which is not something I recommend doing, but I have a job to do with this podcast. So as we get into it, I want to talk about something real quick. In fact, I want to make sure, do it on this other computer, that the link is there. So with my first impressions video of Death Note, I just want to bring up real quick. Basically, I managed to avoid getting it demonetized at the beginning, because what happened is the way that we recorded it, and I talked about this a bit in our last podcast, but the way that we recorded it, I created videos in the in my video manager through, I did a Google Hangout in order to get Duo Reviews camera, right? Those all got demonetized. Luckily, the actual video didn't, but now it ended up getting demonetized for having, I'm assuming for having the word death in the title and in the tags. So I'm just bringing this up real quick in case you guys want to help me with this. I've been doing everything that I can. I kind of have to be careful what I say too, because it's I'm right on the verge of like a community guideline breach in saying this. But I've been doing everything that I can to get that video remonetized, because according to how YouTube has their thing set up right now, they did a horrible job rolling out this change. But basically, there was a moment where a bunch of videos, like site-wide, a bunch of channels got a ton of their videos demonetized. I was very fortunate in that most of the videos that got hit for me were either, it was a valid strike. For instance, the Grab Bag series, I can understand why they would demonetize that. And the other stuff was like old update videos that nobody's watching anyway that are currently unlisted. So it doesn't even matter with those ones. But with this particular video, it really bothered me because I spent 2 weeks straight working on it. It was a heck of a difficult edit because there was an audio desyncing problem. So in YouTube's internal document stuff that creators have an opportunity to look at, it says that that you have 7 days to reach 1,000 views on the video, basically, which means that let me start that over. Because so many people are getting flagged, man, my brain is all over the place right now. Because so many people are getting flagged, they can't go through all of the requests to review flagged content, because the content's getting flagged automatically based on automatic closed captioning, which is almost always wrong. The title of the video, which in this case having the word death in it, flagged it. Even I'm guessing that's what flagged it, even though it's not about the topic of death. It's about a movie which has the title death in it, right? You know what I mean? It's not about it's tripping it incorrectly in terms of why an advertisement wouldn't want to have anything to do with it. So anyway, in the internal documents, it says that they aren't at this time, because of the volume of stuff that's coming in, they aren't actually going to review any videos they aren't going to review any requests to appeal the demonetization unless the video reaches 1,000 views in under 7 days. Right now, the way that that's phrased, I was under the impression that I needed to do everything I could within those 7 days since I submitted the appeal to get to 1,000 more views from where I was, which at the time was like 60 views. I've done basically everything that I can on my end, and I've gotten, I think I'm just about to break 1,000 views, but I'm beyond the 7-day threshold. But I actually had this weird thing happen recently where when I sort my videos by limited to no ads, it actually shows that those videos are still there, but the monetization symbol had changed, and when I clicked on it, it was showing it like a regular monetized video, and then the next day that switched back. So it's all this weird stuff's going on. But when it switched back, I noticed that the phrasing regarding the 1,000 views was phrased differently in the actual video, and it basically says that I have to, once I reach that threshold, then it'll trigger, it'll basically transition me into the queue to get the video appealed. That's a very long-winded way of saying that. So what I'm saying now, video, there's a link, and I would just read the description at the beginning. But basically, if you guys want to help me, because I can get on my own doing all the hustling I've been doing these last like 2 weeks, or really, actually, I guess mostly just last week, because that's when the demonetization happened, was about 8 or 9 days ago. I can get about 500 to 600 views in that 7-day period. So if you guys wanted to help me either by watching it yourself on a playlist that's looped or whatever, and just sort of help bring it up a couple more views, or share it with your friends or whatever, I'm just trying to, I'm basically from now for like maybe the next week, I'm just going to keep up with my normal regimen of trying to help get to that threshold so I can get that 1,000 views in 7 days. If you guys want to help, go ahead and check the description. There's a link there, which I'm going to remove once all this is handled. Or basically, you know, just in the future, there's a chance that I'm not going to get this video repealed, and that's fine. That's fine. I will have done everything I could. So I just want to bring that up. And it looks like we've got some viewers now, so I'm going to address that.
Hello, viewers. How are you today? I'm doing fine.
Anyway, all right. So FDDNM and Kitty Honey 30 are here. Good to see you guys.
Yes, I do have quite the good mic.
Another, so we're okay. Yep. Then you probably would want to. Right. Yep. Yeah. FDDM, you get where I'm coming from. That the reason I was so strict on it in the beginning regarding the 1,000 views is because that initial burst gets you the majority of the views the video is going to get. Yeah. So that's why I was trying so hard in the beginning. It looks like if we had, because the podcast usually gets 10 to 25 viewers on the first day, and then a little over 100 in that coming week. And most of the views, because the podcast is usually a couple hours long, are probably people returning and stuff. But I just figure if people are going to bed and they want to help me with what's in the description, and just play things that way, then we could probably just it'll probably tip things over that extra amount I need to get to that 1,000 in a 7-day period. So, yeah, well, see, the thing is that because it's demonetized, or it's limited monetization, it's not like I'm gonna ads won't even show up on it anyway, you know. So yeah, so
a lot of Angry Orchard ads for some reason.
Oh, really? I have. So the other thing is I've got YouTube Red. So for me, I don't even see it. And the thing about limited, I don't really want to accuse YouTube of doing this. That's not like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're doing this. I have zero proof to this, but limited to no ad videos are still, it's still possible to get YouTube Red revenue from them. Like YouTube Red, because people are coming to see your video on YouTube, and it's not an advertiser issue, YouTube Red revenue still comes in. So ironically, I've actually earned a decent amount from this video just from my own spreading it around to people who happen to have YouTube Red or my own YouTube Red views, trying to push it up, because it's really unfair to be stuck in this position because their automatic rollout flagged it incorrectly. So, but anyway, let's move on from this before I cross that community guideline. Like if I say the wrong thing. Anyway, so first things first, maybe we should wait for more viewers before we talk about the Kickstarter stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, go ahead and show off what you got.
You want to do? Do you want to do pickups first?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, oh God, I just made eye contact with what I get to talk about, and it reminded me. So a couple days ago, oh God, this is an article I should have brought up. A Democrat councilman, I guess, left his seat because he was outed as a furry. I commented on a tweet, and it kind of blew up overnight. Basically, I quoted the article, which said the councilman claims his fursuit fetish is in no way sexual, to which I replied, I've seen a furry documentary that leads me to believe otherwise. So that furry documentary, which I may have talked about in the podcast before, is it's a documentary put on by the people who hosted the convention. So Fur Fright 2009, and I said something that triggered a lot of people. I basically said I went into the documentary open-minded to the idea that the stereotypes weren't true, and then my next statement was they are true and they're 10 times worse than I thought. Apparently, people in the furry community who knew already, like the extent that things get to there, and what, like, I guess basically they know all the stereotypes because they live it. They took their threshold of what they know and multiplied that by 10, whereas I was saying that what I knew multiplied by 10 got me to their threshold, you know? So they were claiming that I was saying that furries like sacrifice babies to Satan or something. So anyway, that was an interesting event. And coincidentally, right before this ended up happening, I actually found another furry convention documentary. I'm a sucker for having anime convention or, you know, fandom convention things as documentaries in my collection. So I picked up this one too, and surprisingly, this one is actually a pressed DVD. I was really shocked that they went to the trouble of pressing it rather than just burning it. It's much cheaper to do that for what you would expect for these low quantities. Now, I also picked up Metal Gear Saga Volumes 1 and 2. I believe this is a documentary, and this is Metal Gear Solid 4, the movie, which means that it's just the cutscenes, I think. I'm assuming that's what it is. Oh, God, I can't even pronounce this. Myotome.
Strife.
It's written, it's not even written this way on the cover of the DVD. Well, actually, underneath, it's O tilde S.FIR. So I'm not even gonna try. But underneath here, it's like written. I can't get to it though. I don't care. I don't care enough to bring it.
Spine.
Say what?
You could read the spine.
No, but the spine doesn't have. It's written like ridiculously small, right up there. What I was looking for.
I can still see the different colors: navy blue, another navy blue, and lime green.
Anyway, so podcast. Was it podcast 6 where we talked about DMC?
Yes.
So now we're in podcast 9. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so no, actually, was it 6?
I
think it was
brought up
7.
in at 6 and 7 we talked about the
7 is
conclusion.
we talked about. Okay, so I've been trying to get my hands on the live action Detroit Metal City for months. I found it after podcast 6 when we needed to go into podcast 7 where we talked about it. I ordered it, 2 weeks go by. Next podcast, don't have it. Right. Eventually, after that, I contacted the people who sold it to me when I still didn't have it, because I bought it from Amazon Canada.
Hey.
And I talked to them, and they said, "Oh, like we accidentally put in the wrong code for the tracking number, and it was somebody else in your area code. You should see it in the next couple of days." Another week and a half go by, still don't have it. Message them again, and they're like, "We're sorry that it hasn't arrived. Would you like a refund, or would you like us to send you another one?" And bear in mind, this is a really expensive movie. Okay. The reason I bought all those other the live action Viz movies in that other podcast when I discussed all this stuff was because of how expensive some of them were getting. And I wanted to make sure that I had them before any other ones could go into the same horrible state that live action Detroit Metal City's in, because it's really expensive. It was about $200 Canadian dollars on Amazon Canada where I bought it, which brought it down to like $160 US. So they sent me a replacement. I was actually really shocked. I'm like, "Hey, if you guys actually have another one, go ahead and send it to me." They sent me the Malaysian bootleg, and I called them out on it. They gave me a full refund, and then shockingly, like just the other day, I found it on eBay for $40. So I really lucked out. This is the official one from Viz Pictures, as you can see. So I'm really psyched about that, because that movie was bothering me that I didn't have it for a long time, since we had to watch it for the podcast. So I had to find a sneaky way to do it. And then last thing I want to talk about, I recently picked up. I had sort of an interesting thing happen. So as you guys know, my wife and I are about to have a baby, and we're developing out the birth plan. And we had to decide certain things, like whether or not we want her to get the vitamin K shot when she's first born. And I'm against it because the vitamin K in it is synthetic. So we decided to order some plant-based vitamin K drops. So we were basically bringing our own rather than relying on the hospital to use whatever they're going to use for the drops. And the vitamin K vial was eligible for 1 day free delivery, like free shipping. For next day, and but it needed me to get something else also available for next day that was to take it over a certain price threshold to make it worth them to actually ship it like that. And I looked through a whole bunch of different supplements by the same people. None of them were available for that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go through my while my wife is looking for something to get us into that threshold, I'm just going to go through my saved for later on Amazon. And this was the first thing that came to mind. And to my shock, this was next day delivery as well. So I also bought Attack on Titan, the junior high, whatever. It's actually in a very thin chipboard case. It's kind of interesting. But so that's the last thing I picked up. And I literally ordered this yesterday. So it was kind of cool that it arrived so quickly. So that's all my stuff. Hey, wait, Lou's here. Hey, Lou, how are you? How did you enjoy Interlude? He was just tweeting about this. He just watched it. So anyway, I've been meaning to watch it, so I want to know. Anyway, go ahead, Augie.
Well, I luckily got Attack on Titan Junior High from Walmart. So start off, I finally completed something, and that's a standalone complex with standalone complex, The Laughing Man. I know I'm missing the sleeve. Yeah, I know it's sleeveless, but I can upgrade later. Up next is something from Anime Works that's also a Aniplex title, and that is Mirage of Blaze. Of Blaze?
It is Blaze.
Oh, World of Mirage of Blaze. No idea what to expect from this. It might be something I'm not interested in, but it sounds like a mystery from what I've read.
I'm just gonna say it looks like one of those things that's not technically a yaoi, but it's basically a yaoi. It's like Get Backers or one of those shows. That's what it looks like to me.
I thought Get Backers was straight, but anyway,
yaoi is not actually defined. it's
Oh, you're
known
talking
as.
about shonen AI.
See, the thing is that yaoi is actually, in terms of a genre, is more broadly defined as made for women, right? So what I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be overtly sexual or relationship wise, but I'm saying that it is designed to be sort of fan service that way. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't fall into the definition, but it's basically walking the edge is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you almost said Fudoshi bait, but
Fujoshi bait. That's a good way of putting it, I suppose. Well, it's light, it's soft Fujoshi bait. Let's put it that way.
Well, this probably isn't helping my image, but another one from Anime Works that I completed is the first season of Night Hunters. Now I can finally combine it with this gray box that feels like it's about to fall apart, but apparently have a really good one.
If it makes you feel better, since I just showed you that I also have Mirage of Blaze, I also have Night Hunters. There's our images tarnished forever.
Well, I finally
hold on. Lou says that Interlude was forgettable, but he doesn't regret watching it. It's basically Shelter regarding Interlude.
Shelter. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of Shelter. I haven't sat down and watched that one. Anyway, continue with your pickups.
All right, and now it's time for me to have an ego as I talk about I, My, Me with these strawberry eggs. Complete collection, all from Genion in this Bailey box.
Did I?
No, you did not put that article up.
No, not about that. Did I ever talk about picking up strawberries? I think I picked that up after we started the podcast.
No,
I think I might have actually
never said anything.
All right, well, it was a while ago. I picked it up.
However, I hope you watched. I hope you were able to watch all the stuff that you need to catch up on. Because if you didn't watch Lucky Star, I got a fistful of Fuku right here.
I'm all caught up, don't worry.
Oh, so what's up on your end?
Are you done with your pickups?
Yes, I'm done with the pickups.
Okay, so I want to catch up real quick on some of this chat.
Blue Anime says, "Whoa, nice."
FDGNM said fetish that is non-sexual isn't
that's
a fetish being sexually aroused or a non-sexual thing. Yes. See, the thing is that's because I this is going back to the whole furry thing that I tweeted out. I tweeted the response right before I went to bed, and that is exactly the thought that went through my mind. But then when I looked at it in the morning, I realized that the article quoted just the part where he said is in no way sexual. They put the word fetish, the fursuit fetish was part of that, was their language, and then it turned out that his response. See, I thought the exact same thing when I saw it. This is one of the major reasons why I put out that tweet anyway. And then he also wants to know, why am I buying my Otome/Hime stuff when Funimation is going to re-release that all? Because I don't care about the re-release. I already have the rest of the show on DVD from Bandai, so I want the Bandai version.
I'm still waiting for Crest of the Stars to be re-released. Maybe it'll air on Toonami.
Which one comes first, Crest of the Stars or Banner of the Stars?
Crest of the Stars, then Banner of the Stars, then Banner of the Stars 2, then some OVA that I'm not sure has been released or not.
Then I have seen Crest of the Stars because I watched whatever one was first.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I had a house fire about 6 years ago. None of this was affected. Right behind this great wall of anime behind me, and I was able to find something that I thought I lost, and that was the promotional disc for IGPX, which includes episode 1. The trailer to IGPX, a link to IGPX.com, music, and a screensaver. Ooh.
I bet you none of those links work anymore.
Yeah, you never know.
So let's see.
Remember in podcast 1, I explored G4 TV's website, and surprisingly, it's a ghost town, but it's still up.
Cutie Honey says, "Wow, that's a lot of money." I'm assuming she's referring to, or
you were talking about.
I'm guessing the gender based on the name, but I'm assuming they're referring to the Detroit Metal City costing $200. Yeah, it's outrageous for the live action movie. Fate Zero, Sir Lancelot Deluxe says, bro, I thought eBay scams a lot. eBay doesn't. A lot of eBay sellers do.
Oh man, you know what's going to happen in a week.
Hold on. FDDM says he remembers when Amazon.ca was able to get free non-prime shipping and it would be in his mailbox in less than 24 hours. That's pretty nice. FDDM responding to what Lou was saying about Shelter and us not knowing what it was, says Shelter is that music video thing. Some English-speaking guy got animated in Japan, and everyone loved it, but I haven't been bothered. I still don't know what it is.
I like to call that Captain Nike, but other people will complain.
Kitty Honey 30 says they love me, my strawberry eggs. And FDDM has caught up to the, like, these are new comments about answering questions I asked that already got answered. All right, so want
to know what happens in a week?
Kickstarter stuff? What?
Want to know what happens in a week?
Yeah.
I'm going to AWA.
Yeah.
Stockpile it up. I can't wait to grab stuff. Can't wait to show off stuff afterwards.
Yeah, so FDD&M, this is something that is only going to affect you. The item I was referring to that Augie's going to look for at AWA is this. That's the whole reason. It's probably going to be like, of course. But let's talk about Kickstarter. As per the pact of anime collectors, to always let each other know about Kickstarter projects going on related to anime. So this isn't technically anime in the sense that neither was.
Show the pseudo anime ghetto.
Yeah, it's the same thing as sort of like Avatar, but they're probably almost certainly not going to get there. They've got 62 hours left. It's called Primus 7. If you guys want to check out a video that goes into detail on it, because I backed it just simply because it's on Kickstarter and it's an anime style theme thing. But if you want to actually know about it, B-Dub, the Anime Master, has a video that he just recently put out where he talked about it, so you can get information about it there. The other Kickstarter anime, oh dear God, is somebody is soloing a full-length animated movie, as in they're doing all of it by themselves. And it says, widely acclaimed for its digital effects and Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, for his digital effects, Saku Sakamoto sets out on a one-man animated film project. So he's going to do, basically this is kind of what's his name? Shinkai did?
No.
Makoto Shinkai did with, I think it's Voices of a Distant Star, where he animated everything about it himself. He basically made the entire movie by himself. So that's what's going on here. If you guys want... What's up?
Didn't that movie start off in 1995?
Voices of a Distant Star?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had been working on it for a while, like, because when you're doing everything all by yourself, it takes some time. But regarding this movie here, if you want a physical copy, like you want a DVD / Blu-ray, it's going to cost you, if you live in the United States, at least it's going to cost you like $210.
Ugh.
Just so you know. So it is this, no, not that one, this one. The autographed Blu-ray of the movie, if you pledge 170 or more, and when you click on that, because this is being made in Japan, it'll up you to 210 or whatever, 205, 210 for getting it sent to America. So just FYI.
I remember for the first Kickstarter you pointed out, I remember them on YouTube trying to hype up what they're trying to do, saying that they're the best. But
are you sure?
Are
you sure that was for Primus 7 and not for Children of Eden?
I don't know. They're blending together.
Yeah, they do blend together. I tried to record a video, a first impressions video, going to see Ancient Magus Bride in theaters. That video was a disaster, so I'm probably not going to release it. But
did you at least enjoy it?
Well, it's complicated. I'm not gonna talk about it just in case I do end up finishing up the video. it's one of those things where the narrative of the story goes, it's like we basically drove into a brick wall because something didn't go quite the way it was supposed to, and it totally derails the whole direction the video is going in. So I don't know if I'm going to fix it or not. I'm going to wait for now. But basically, they played a trailer or not even a trailer, like the first 15 minutes of Children of Eden, and it was like they were hyping it up like it's this great landmark thing. And to a degree, yes, it is, in the sense that it is that, bridging the divide in terms of, anime no longer being something that's strictly Japanese, but it was.
Says who?
It wasn't anything special. I'm just saying it wasn't, they're making it out to be a lot better. Like it didn't have the merit that they were ascribing to it. I'm just going to say it wasn't interesting in my opinion. It just wasn't, it wasn't gripping at all. Anyway, back to Kickstarter related things. Something we should probably also bring up. Under the Dog has a new Kickstarter they're about to launch for a live action short and a music video, and I think also they want to eventually do a animated series to further, follow the world of Under the Dog. And chances are that they are going to have a really hard time getting people on board with this next one, because they, perhaps not their fault, but they really botched the last Kickstarter that they did. So going forward, just so you know, the new Kickstarter is not going to be like, how people on Kickstarter have an account and they host the Kickstarter through their account. So the account that the original Under the Dog was, published under was Mentat Studios LLC. They mentioned in the project update email that it's not going to be through Mentat. It's going to be through a new user on Kickstarter. So just so you know. So what were you going to say, Augie?
Oh, all right. I wasn't really impressed with the initial project. Then again, I feel like the director has other leads to have his project funded without doing crowdfunding from the first place. But that's just my opinion.
Regarding what? I missed the beginning. Regarding which title?
Under the Dog.
Under the Dog. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't the way everything after what you said about that could have also been about the soloing project. So I wasn't sure which one you were talking about. Yeah. My biggest complaint, Lou, with Under the Dog is that I backed it twice with two different accounts. Once so that I could get the Blu-ray and DVD standard edition, and once so that I could get the Kickstarter exclusive one. And they only made one. So I ended up getting two copies of the exact same thing, even though I spent more for one of them, which I was pretty frustrated about. FDD&M says, speaking of B-Dub, referring to B-Dub, the Anime Master, he definitely thinks that he should be on the podcast. Yeah, I've been saying that sort of behind the scenes for a while. I'd love to have B-Dub on the podcast because he, it's one of those things where you just like, I feel like when I watch his content that, we had a very similar, you can just tell that it had a very similar collecting experience growing up. Like, we probably got into it around the same time, had a lot of the same experience, went to the same stores, similar to how Augie and I are, but sort of in a little bit of a different way. So he'd be a great person to have on the podcast. FDM says the Ancient Magus Bride was only the first 3 episodes of the anime, and I don't think you should push forward because it's not in the full series. Thing about Ancient Magus Bride, just so it's understood, my wife had seen the first 2 episodes, so I think that I don't think it's 3 episodes of the anime. I think what it is that there were 3 OVAs that are like a precursor to the anime.
Yeah.
I still don't fully understand what I saw. It was bizarre to say the least. But basically, my wife had seen as they came out the first 2 episodes, because she doesn't wait for things to get released on DVD like I do all the time. And I went to go see it. We were under the impression that they were going to play all 3 episodes and not just the 3rd one. Apparently, they just played the 3rd one. My wife didn't remember it was a bizarre, like I said, it's hard to explain because it just, everything was going one direction and then we just veered a whole different way because it didn't go right. So what we were going to basically do is come back to it, watch the other two, and then do our first impressions. But it's just like enough time has gone by. The video probably won't get made. There are 3 OVAs. Watch OVAs being prequel to the manga, right?
I'm really digging the manga. I've
really
watched a few episodes.
Okay, so hold on. Sorry. He said they aired 3 OVAs which your wife watched. My wife had seen 2 OVAs. OVAs being prequel to the manga, right? Then the episodes you watched were 3 episodes of the TV anime. I saw them in theaters. Like it was the Crunchyroll screening event that they did it in theaters. I'm pretty sure it was just the 3rd OVA. But I could be wrong. It was really weird. It was hard to understand what was, I mean, it's one of those things where you can kind of understand what was going on. It's not that you couldn't follow what was happening, but it felt like they didn't set up characters and stuff correctly. Like it felt like I jumped in midway in that regard, not that I couldn't necessarily follow what was going on. You get what I mean? Like it felt like I was supposed to know who some people were or what their relationship was or connect. And it was bizarre. You know, you might be right,
like
though.
Jumping into a soap opera that you have to watch
it was just so weird. You might be right, though, because they do show, I think her name's Chitose. They do show the main character meeting the Magus guy, right? They showed that, and I'm like, I turned to my wife and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. You've seen this before, right? Anyway. I don't want to keep going on it because it was just, it was bizarre. It wasn't a great. It was not a great video.
Let's talk more about it when we get the complete collection.
Yeah, I'm glad that YouTubers have the ability to choose what they publish because that was really, it's just cringing the whole way through making that video. Anyway, so go ahead, Augie. You were going to say something about the ancient Magus bread before I cut you off.
I said what I was going to say. I really like the manga, and I can't wait to own the series. So.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see the rest of it. It's just it was a weird experience because it didn't go like at all like I was thinking it was going to. So next up, I want to bring up Sentai's phasing out DVDs. That's something that we should definitely talk about.
Yeah. Here's what I understand. I don't know. I haven't read what anyone else has written, but from my own thoughts about this, they went ahead and announced that they're going to phase out DVDs by the end of 2019.
Yeah, and everybody seems to have misinterpreted that as they're not doing anymore at all from now. You know,
even though they have other claims in their message that kind of we're not going to do it, but we'll do it for shows that were released in a low definition. Not
right. Okay, so to make it crystal clear what's going on. If they had started releasing something on DVD and it was like, you know, collection 1 of 4, then the other 3 collections they're going to release them on DVD. Okay. If you bought collection 1 of something on DVD, you don't have to worry that they're not going to release the rest of it also on DVD, basically. All right. And also some titles they're going to be forced to, they basically didn't jump on the standard def on Blu-ray bandwagon yet. So basically certain titles are still going to come out on DVD because there's no Blu-ray source for them. You know, there's no Japanese Blu-ray. They haven't already been mastered for release in Japan kind of thing. So certain things are still going to come out on DVD, but they're trying to phase everything out of DVD by the end of 2019. Does that sound like an accurate way of saying it? That's
an accurate way of saying it. You have that going on. You have the flood that destroyed their headquarters. Apparently, I hope everyone's fine, safe, and well with their families. But I think this might be a way to quickly gain back some capital to recover from that major hit. Insurance aside.
Yeah.
So you have that going on. I spoke with you on this. I can see DVDs being faded out at 2020. Because the whole Windows 7 will be phased out at that point too.
You mean industry wide, not just anime?
Industry wide.
Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that DVDs will get phased out when DVD sales start tanking in terms of the rest of the industry outside of anime. And right now, the anime industry in particular is a little bit ahead of the curve, which is interesting because it was ahead of the curve with the whole DVD crash as well. Things happening in this industry with the anime optical media market is indicative of what's going to happen to the rest of the DVD industry, interestingly enough. So personally, go ahead.
Now here's another thing too. For the longest time, even with Blu-ray coming out, people don't really buy Blu-ray as often, or maybe they are. What I understand, they're not buying DVD as often because there's more DVD is more readily available for people, like on your laptops, in your living room. Even though you can buy a DVD, a Blu-ray player that will upscale and play your DVDs anyway.
Right.
So another factor to consider is the factor of quantity of supply.
Right.
So if you use too much DVDs and there's more Blu-rays, the Blu-ray prices will obviously, if there's too much of a surplus, they're going to try to cheapen it.
Mm-hmm.
Cheapen it to kind of balance off the demand, the whole supply demand scenario going on.
Right. Right. So also, outside of anime, I don't think personally, I don't think that the DVD market is going to be gone at 2019, 2020, 2025. I don't think it's going to disappear that quickly, personally. Because believe it or not, VHS tapes for certain titles were still getting made like as late as, or even as early as potentially 2008, I think is the last time I remember reading about it, where they don't necessarily sell them at Target, but they're still available. Like they were still, I can't remember if it was Disney or some company, they were releasing their movies and they were still releasing them with a VHS option, even that late into the game. So I don't think DVDs are going to go anywhere for a while. And I think that I don't think that it's going to be that big of a deal. Now, in regards to what this means for the company, thing when we talked about Right Stuff and we talked about the standard def on Blu-ray stuff that Discotech is doing, this is a good idea on their end. Like this makes fiscal sense for them, because one of the most expensive aspects of creating a product to sell is the replication stage, and it's specifically getting the glass masters and the metal stampers made. And when you do things on Blu-ray, you make significantly less of those, especially when you're doing standard def on Blu-ray. For example, Discotech released The Wizard of Oz. It's like 50 episodes, but it's standard def on Blu-ray, so all 50 episodes fit on one disc, right? Whereas if that was a box set, or did they do it with that too? That's good to know. But whereas if it was a box set, then 50 episodes is going to be, 10 DVDs minimum. You know what I mean? Kind of things. So by doing it this way, they're saving a lot of money, and it allows them to release some titles that otherwise, if they had put them out on DVD, would not get released because it just would have been too great of a risk. Now, I definitely need to catch up on this chat. So FDDM, I just want to establish right now, what you're saying makes a lot of sense regarding Ancient Magus Bride. So he's saying that they announced it was 3 episodes in theaters, referring to the anime. And that makes a lot of sense. And it makes a lot of sense why my wife was confused about it, because she probably didn't know that there was an actual show coming out at the time. And she thought that the stuff we saw at Anime Expo was just a promo for the 3rd OVA or something like that. Anyway, he also said Sentai confirmed shows without HD mastering available will be released on DVD still, right? We brought that up. Said that they will save money on the fact that they only need the Blu-ray license. True.
Yeah.
Well,
saves overhead.
That's probably why they're not doing SD on Blu-ray. That might be one of the reasons why. Let's see if I can get the DVD license for sometimes shows in the future. What?
Yeah, you can license your own.
So he's saying so he's saying that if Sentai is only buying the Blu-ray license, that we could come in and start releasing DVDs if we wanted to of those same shows by getting the DVD license. I don't think it'll be that easy. That obviously was a joke though. Cutie Honey says they don't mind the phase out. It's kind of funny. Okay, well, first of all, I guess I should bring this up. If you don't have a Blu-ray player, Sentai is doing something right now.
Is Sony, the promotional Blu-ray player that you can buy after your $300 plus purchase at Sentai Filmworks is a Sony Blu-ray player, which has a coaxial output.
Yeah, we'll bring that up in a minute. But basically, if you don't have a Blu-ray player, because I bought a Blu-ray player for 12 cents on eBay, and because I got it for so cheap, the guy didn't ship it with care. And the Blu-ray, everything apparently works with it, like the Netflix plugin and everything. All that stuff seems to work, but I don't have a remote. He didn't send me a remote with it, so I can't access any of it. And the one part of it that definitely doesn't work is the Blu-ray player aspect of it. So I didn't have a Blu-ray player. Sentai's doing a special promotion right now with the whole phase out of DVDs and everything, where if you spend more than $299 on their site, they will send you a free Blu-ray player. I did that. It's kind of complicated. I'll talk about it another time about all the stuff that I got, but I sort of made a deal with FDD&M to help me not have to spend as much. And so I'm going to get the Blu-ray player that they have, which is a Sony Blu-ray player. And this probably means almost nothing, but it is interesting that of all the brands that they would partner with, that it would be Sony, considering Sony just bought majority stake in Funimation. Probably doesn't mean anything, but on the off chance that this pseudo prediction ends up going anywhere, it's kind of something I wanted to bring up on the podcast.
Come on. It goes deeper, Sony. They're using a Sony brand Blu-ray player. Sony's also the one responsible for the DVD, for DVDs to be out. And they're also the ones responsible for Blu-ray.
Right, that's true. They developed the technology, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. Which is strange.
Go ahead.
One thing that's strange is you'll hear about the latest and greatest TV, and you always expect the inside guts to be like all these connectors and hookups and everything screwed together, but really you'll see a lot of ribbon cables, and instead of it being connected with connectors, sometimes you'll see them just splice the ribbon cable and put this heat sensitive glue in there, just because it's an old timey technique that they use.
Yeah. So FDDM says everyone will have a console that plays Blu-rays nowadays. I don't think anyone should be behind the curb reasonably, and Blu-ray players are affordable enough. If not, I don't have a console that plays Blu-rays. I have a PlayStation 2, a PlayStation 1, and a GameCube, none of which are hooked up. Lou Talks Anime says PS2 games stopped being made like 2 years ago. Yeah. Older tech doesn't die easy because lower income people still use it. It's very true. Yeah. And like I said, I think I still would rather sit down. If I'm going to play a console game, I'm going to sit down and play something on PS2. That's just how I am. I didn't upgrade. It's not decision fatigue. I guess that's part of it. But they offered too many options with the PS3, and I never bought one. And then they stopped being backwards compatible, and I just stopped playing games after that point. Like I don't know.
On the whole flip side of technology, with all these upper people using cloud to keep up their storage, the backup for cloud, I read this 2 months ago, they use VHS to back it up.
Right.
All technologies.
FDDM actually is talking about something like that right now. He says his mom works at a TV station and they still use tapes to this day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're caught up. I want to bring up something. I actually meant to bring this up during the last podcast. I put it on the docket of tabs on my browser, but I did it on this computer instead of the computer that we actually use for this stuff. Netflix, Neo Yokio, Jaden Smith anime. Do you have anything to say about this other than it looks terrible?
I don't know what this is. I see a person with strawberry hair, and picture that I'm looking at that you're showing me. I don't know if the viewers are watching. It looks like, well, it's like some sort of advertisement for some sour candy or fruit candy.
So I'm going to interrupt you for a minute and say, hey, John Shane, how do you enjoy the ADV dub of 5 centimeters per second?
On the ADV DVD. Then again, you got the Discotheque / Crunchyroll re-release. And the Bandai release as well. I really hate the ending to that movie.
To which movie?
5 centimeters per second.
Yeah, and I love watching. I always love watching Shinkai's work, but I don't think any of them, with the exception of Garden of Words and Your Name, have any rewatchability. You know,
Your Name, he actually went somewhere with the ending.
Right.
Garden of Words, at least the downfall happened at the very end of the credits. I found it to be a very pleasant movie myself.
Well, I think that most of them are just really beautiful to look at, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with just making a gorgeous moving painting for the type of work that you do. You know, but if
the story spits in my face, I will complain.
Okay. So something that's worth bringing up now, you know, I often have been quoted. Well, I don't know if I've ever been quoted, but I say this a lot, is that I love anime, but I hate anime fans a lot of time. And apparently was it the director? Yeah, the director for the live action Death Note film deleted his Twitter after like weeks straight harassment and death threats over the movie. So that's crummy, you know.
Well,
like I really hate that I really hate to be associated with a fandom that acts this way, you know. And it's not just our fandom, like fandoms in general. You know, it's the thing about like you know, there's always it's the minority voices that speak the loudest, but because they speak the loudest, they're the ones that are heard. So it might not be the majority's opinion that, you know, the things that are said, but because the few people are so vocal about it, it gives a bad name to everybody else. I should just tape this headphone into my ear at this point. It's getting so annoying.
On what, if I know the chronology of this happened after the movie, I think.
Right. And I hold on. I want to say something real quick, just so it doesn't get too far away from it. Because John Shane hasn't responded since I said that. I found out that John is part of a Facebook group that I'm a part of. So I pulled out when I saw him in the chat, I pulled something out that only he would. Yeah, anyway, it was a secret code to him to see if it was the same John Shane or if it was just another guy who had the same name. Ren22 says Shinkai's films are pretty meh, except for the ones you said. Yeah, they're usually just pretty. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with them just being pretty. You know, I always love it. Like, it's kind of like when people say like, "Oh, I hate this one band because all their songs sound the same." It's like, well, so what? Sometimes you're in the mood for that. Sometimes you're in the mood for an entire album of the same song. You know.
Well, how come all the country and rap have the same beat?
There you go.
Different lyrics.
Garden of Words is good, but the ending was just like, really, dude? You couldn't have just let us have what we wanted?
Well, yeah, it's your choice if you want to watch the credits all the way.
Yeah, the thing about
But back to Death Note. If I understand
well, hold on. I just want to get through this real quick since I'm on it. Lou Talks Anime says the story of Neo Yokio's production, according to Wikipedia, is pretty interesting. We'll have to check that out later. Maybe we'll talk about that in the next podcast. FTDNM says, I agree, anime fans are really AIDS. And Lou Talks Anime says, apparently Studio Dean and Production IG collaborated to make it. It was made like 2 years ago. That is kind of interesting. John Shane says, it's been a year since I've seen it and haven't had a chance to watch the DVD I got, so I don't remember much about it. Well, you just confirmed that it is you. So, well, I was gonna say welcome to the club or welcome to the group, but you've probably actually been in there. Yeah. The other thing was I often wondered if the reason you started watching the podcast was because you're a part of the same group as us. But anyway, FDNM says it's an unpopular opinion, but he loves Studio Dean and hates Production IG. Kitty Honey says people take stuff too far now. Yes, they do. And Lou Talks Anime says I was watching other Comics Wave shorts like She and Her Cat and Traveling Daru. I haven't seen Traveling Daru, but I rebought the DVD that came with, I think it's 5 centimeters per second, that has She and Her Cat on it. So that I could flip, because it has an a reversible cover, so I could flip it and stick it in there and have one entry for She and Her Cat and one for, and then it turned out that they punched the UPC. So now I've got, on one side, I've got this hole that is looking into nothing. It's a hole that goes right into the cover. And then on the other side, there's no hole in the plastic, but there's a hole in the cover. It looks horrible. I got to rebuy it. Anyway, so you wanted to get back to the Death Note thing. What were you going to say?
If I understand the chronology of this happened after the release of the Death Note film. Right.
So it was response to what people thought about it.
Right. So on one hand, you might have people flipping burgers, saying that they're arguing and cussing that they can do a better job, and how dare they put mud on what I enjoy. On the other hand, you have a guy that, I'm going to do a really good job and expose myself. However, I can't take this kind of attention because I've exposed myself. So I'll delete the Twitter and go away. On one hand, protect yourself from harassment. On the other hand, kind of know what to expect when you go into something.
Yeah, I'll say two things. Number one, his account, because every time you give in to this kind of stuff and you do that, you show them that harassment works. Number two, big pet peeve of mine, I hate how many articles are just written about conversations on Twitter. Is that not the most annoying thing on Facebook? You see like hundreds of articles.
How this became a popular topic. Maybe it's the president. Who knows?
I hate you, Twitter. I hate it. I hate how much it's just, oh, this person said this, and then they got destroyed, and then here's a bunch of cherry-picked responses that we agreed with for writing our article and decided to include here.
Yeah, they're just
anyway.
Ooh,
annoying, and I think it's disingenuous.
Click to reload. It's reloading, and yes, there was a recent poll. There was a recent poll from
go ahead.
Fantasia Bunko's Best Beach Babes. And the one that won it was Megumi from Sakano. However, number 2 I really liked is Lena Inverse from the Slayers. Right,
so I guess
I have no idea how. I have no idea.
It's kind of a bizarre thing. Where's
the camera?
I can read about this too. It's like writing an article about like some Twitter poll. It's like, oh, look where it went. Well,
at least this is of interest. But
do any of these,
where's the camera?
It's just such a weird assortment of shows.
AC, where's the camera at? Is the camera looking at the article?
It's on the article.
Okay.
It's on the article right now.
So let's see. I'm not sure about number 3. That is awesome for number 4. For Toka.
Yeah, I've never heard of number 3.
What, you never watched Data Live?
No, number 3.
No.
Akashic Records of Bastard Magic. I've never heard of that.
I think that's a new show.
Look at number 5 too.
Number 5 is from that as well. Sakano again.
Yeah. Another
one from Data Live. Awesome. But it's the same character in a different color. I'm surprised Gamers is on it. High School DxD, baby. Yeah. And Magi Brilliant Part. Cool. Which you can click on the
so
different
from
characters.
29 entries. Can we see the
Oh, just go through them.
Can we see the
They're right there at the bottom.
Oh, is it these? I thought this was an ad. I was ignoring it.
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure these are all going to be appropriate for the podcast. Okay, so these are okay. So they literally voted only on the picture. It's not a character vote. It's based on the picture.
Yeah, fair enough. I just wonder how many entries. There's Toka.
I'm operating this mouse on the other computer left-handed right now. Why is it highlighting when I do that? That's so annoying. So which character won?
Good question.
I'm totally behind on all of these shows.
Yeah.
Including Slayers, I hate to say it. I haven't even gotten through that
I haven't watched Slayers. Yeah, there's the high school DxD.
Okay, and that one's, well, it was out of 29, so I guess the fact that it's on here, I was going to say that one's pretty low on the list, but I guess out of 29, it's considerably higher. Okay, I guess that's the end. I don't feel like I went through 29 entries. Anyway, yes, next article. Oh, this is the Gabre Zero. You were going to talk about this? Let me catch up on the chat real quick. We can buy a physical copy of She and Her Cat. Yes, but all it actually is 5 centimeters. There's a version of 5 centimeters per second that comes with it as a special feature, and the inside of the DVD case is a reversible cover, so you can swap it and use it as if it's a DVD of She and Her Cat. Send you a link to it later. And he also says, I thought the anime of Death Note was good enough. I don't see why people would be pissed about a separate thing with the CMIP. Well, I'm just going to say again, I did a video on this, on the live action movie. I thought it was great for what they were doing. And I actually really appreciated a lot of the bold choices that they made with the storytelling. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. Anyway, go ahead, Augie. I realize the camera's been on. You wanted to talk about this. Go ahead.
Yes. So I'm glad that this Twitter account's lasted that long for an anniversary. I'm also glad to see it back in the news. I think this was like released 4 years ago. Anyway, Gaure Zero is a prequel of Gaure, which the prequel aired as the manga was about to end. So I'm either hoping we'll get more of what they wrote with from Gaure Zero and continue on, or maybe he's doing another project. But just seeing this like get back in the news just puts a smile on my face.
FDGM says he recorded a review for Gaure.
Okay.
So is that on your channel, FDGM?
There's a 10-minute delay, so.
Or 10 minute delay.
We shouldn't wait for the 10-minute delay.
Okay, well, while he's thinking about that, while he answers that, I will talk about Yuri on Ice Cream.
Stone Cold. Where is that franchise? Well, I know what it is. It's an ice cream parlor, but where is that?
It's in. Well, and there's a bunch of them in California. I know that.
Well, California has all the startup restaurants.
Well, do you mean like where is it based? Like where's it originated from?
Where's it based? Where is it? Where can I go to get it? Because all I have is like Brewster's.
Apparently, Cold Stone Creamery has a production cooperation thing for Boruto, the Naruto movie.
There you go. Okay, so fine.
Anyway, so at the end it says he's got to upload it and edit it. Okay, so it's not available yet. The Yu Yu Hakusho thing here?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Yu Yu Hakusho has a new game app that reunites the anime cast. So I guess what they mean by reuniting the anime cast is the voice actors?
Yes. Hopefully this means the guy isn't sick. Because I hope.
Yeah. Do you want to go through your prediction here?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm hoping with all this Yu Yu Hakusho anniversary, we'll get maybe another season or just an anniversary episode. Then again, it depends on the guy's health if anything happens. But awesome. They got all the voice cast back together for something so nostalgic.
What's that Hello character that's the penguin called again? Or is he a penguin?
Yeah, he's a penguin.
We talked about it in the last podcast.
Badsmaru.
Badsmaru, yeah. In the last podcast we talked about there's a Badsmaru Yu Yu Hakusho crossover. We talked about in the last podcast. Lou says that they have Cold Stone in Florida. And FDM says Galray was so surprisingly good that he wants more subs. Oh, okay, more subscribers before he uploads the video. Why does it matter? Just upload it now. There are ways to if you upload it now and then you get more subs, and you well, I mean, once you get more, let's say, prominent on YouTube, if you change the thumbnail and update some of the tags in the description, it'll reset YouTube's tag on that video, and it'll basically treat it as a new video, and it'll go through the cycle of like launching it out and possibly causing it to get trending and all that stuff again. So there's no reason to wait on it, and it could be the video that gets you subscribers. You don't know.
Well, yeah. Why
Moving on.
Why would you bake a cake when the guests are here when you can bake a cake beforehand? Moving on.
Well, especially when the cake could be what draws the guests in, as I said. So moving on, we've got this wonderful article. The leotard reinvented as whole body panties.
There you go. Now spilling stuff onto you will be much more hilarious.
Say what?
Now spilling stuff onto you can be so much more hilarious.
Well, I'm assuming this was being worn under your clothes. Yeah, it's sleepwear. This is too funny because basically what it is it's just like they extend, like they even got like the little panty bows and everything. They just extended it all the way up to a leotard. Let's see. Etienne says haven't had time to write reviews or edit, which is why. Yeah, I know your housing situation right now is probably making that difficult. Sitting on 9 recorded videos to edit. Dude, get on that. All right. So the next thing, there's going to be a couple things we're just going to just jump through real quick. Let me know if you have anything you want to say about them, Augie. New York City Comic-Con lists Batman Ninja anime film by Kill la Kill writer Kazuki Nakashima. So I guess this is a thing.
Yeah,
don't know anything about it.
I didn't know about the writer part. How in the world's that going to work? Because Kill la Kill has nothing espionage about it. If anything, it's probably one of the more fabulous anime to watch out there.
Well, it could be a similar situation to the Lego Batman movie, where it's more like kind of like especially the villains in it are it's just real over the top. You know that
that can work.
I could see that. I could see them approaching it from that sort of angle rather than the typical, Dark Knight detective kind of thing.
No, they're going to repeat that whole Inferno Cop bullshit.
I'm so behind. I don't follow Batman at all. Okay. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Inferno Cop's done by Trigger. I think it's crap.
Okay. That's the one where he shot the bullet. I just shared a clip from that on. He looks like Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shoots the bullet. I just shared this on my Facebook page. I thought that was so funny. He shoots the bullet at that crab monster, and he's like, I'm impervious to bullets, and then it bounces off and comes back at the cop, and he says, so am I, and it bounces off him again, and then hits the crab and makes the crab explode. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Good comedic on that part. Anything else you want to say about that Batman thing?
Yeah, I'm fine with the Batman thing. My major complaint about Inferno Cop is you have this studio that's really good at animation, and they have this standstill, like Tom Goes to the Mayor.
I think that it's like I said, there's nothing wrong with doing something different. There's nothing wrong with what's his name, Shinkai's style. There's nothing wrong with a band making an entire album where all the songs sound the same.
However,
Kaiji creators.
Everyone erupts like a volcano when something's pandering. I never got that.
I have to. Well, I have to agree and disagree.
Something's pandering. My life is shit right now, and there's someone out there who wants to make something just for me to make my day good, and that's whole.
Yeah. Okay. But so I did a video at Anime Expo where I went to see the Card Captor Sakura Clear Card Prologue, and that was really pandering. And it didn't. I don't know if it comes across properly in the video, but I do go out of my way to explain that I felt like they were disingenuous. I felt like it was meant to just be fan service. It feels like a fan fiction that they animated, and that at the convention they portrayed their, like they had this passion for the show and they were so grateful to be able to work on it after all these years. But to me, it felt like they were really just coming back to it because it was a moneymaker, just the same way that Dragon Ball Super is out right now, kind of thing. And they're bringing back, you know what I mean? So pandering when it's disingenuous is really annoying. But I do think you're right. I agree with what you say that people get up in arms over stuff. It's like nobody's forcing you with your eyelids taped to sit there and watch anything.
Yeah.
So I just want to speed through these real quick. The Kaiji creators. From the creator of Kaiji, the Akagi manga is getting a live-action miniseries. I really doubt it, but I'd love it if this meant that it would eventually come over here and that Kaiji would finally.
Yeah, you think
the anime Kaiji would finally come over here.
You would think Crunchyroll and Discotech would release it, because apparently I do not know this professionally, but apparently from what I've heard on Crunchyroll, if it's still on, it has like a high rewatch value.
Kaiji?
Or high views or whatever.
I just want to see it. I've been dying to see it for so long. Himoto Umaru-chan R anime's video previews characters and opening song have been released apparently. So this is a spin-off series?
This is season 2. Yes, finally. More of it.
I haven't sat down and watched Umaru-chan yet, and I probably never will because of Sentai's dumb decision to release the Garfield set.
Well, it's up to you if you want to pet your Garfield or not.
It's not behind you.
Or is it because
I just want them. I'll eventually get like the standard set version of it, I'm sure. And then on that same sort of note, real quick to speed through this, license the Himoto Umaru-chan manga.
Yes.
Anything you want to say, Augie?
I'm very excited for season 2 to finally come out as fast as it is. And on top of that, after season 1 was released, we're getting the manga over here. Now, if I can only get Watamote season 2, I would feel great. All right, so Pretty Sammy gets a sequel project and starts crowdfunding for a promo video, but really to try to start the series up, which I hope it gets, because I still don't. I looked through the volume 1 and 2 of the Pretty Sammy Pioneer sets, and I still can't find that movie that the show ties up.
Can you leave the call and come back?
What?
Can you leave, or wait, hold on, keep talking.
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Leave the call real quick and come back. The link is in the Facebook message I sent you. So I'm going to catch up on the chat real quick. So FDM says, as soon as I said in my video, spoilers regarding Cardcaptor Sakura, he stopped watching it. Yeah, the first impression series should just be understood that there's probably going to be spoilers in every one of those videos, just a FYI to everybody. FDM says it's still on Crunchyroll. He's pretty sure. And then he shills for Crunchyroll with his own his own affiliate link. Good for you, FDM. So regarding this, while I'm waiting for Augie, regarding the Pretty Sammy sequel project, there's Augie. Her face looks. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So much better. Her face looks really bizarre.
Well,
doesn't it? Like, she looks fine.
Yeah, it's cell shade.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell that it's.
Then you have original. Well, no, she's a little cell shade.
But this character looks fine. Her face just looks so derp right here.
Pixie Misa. So I wonder if it's going to add characters from Magical Project S. Were you able to find the movie in Volume 1 or Volume 2 of the Pioneer release of Magical Project S?
Was I able to find the movie? Like, did I look on the DVD streaming?
Have you even watched it?
No, I haven't. I haven't sat down and watched it.
Okay. Well, I watched it.
As soon as you started talking about the movie again, your audio started cutting out again, but you sound fine now. So that's just bizarre. This is the exact same thing you were talking about before that caused the audio to hiccup. I don't know if it's taking up for you guys, but it's taking up for me.
Hey, she's 14 this time.
FDNM says, am I the only one who thought Sasami was the best girl in Tenchi? I don't really care for Tenchi, to be honest with you.
Boo. I want more of it to come out.
I couldn't even tell you who the characters were, to be honest with you.
Come on,
I know who Ryoko is. She's the one with the blue hair, the light blue hair. Who's the girl with the tan skin that's like the police?
Mihoshi. Okay,
yeah,
who's the girl in the pink with the pink hair below? Scroll down. Yeah, who's she?
I don't know her name.
You forgot about Little Washu?
She kind of looks like a character that might have shown up in Yu Yu Hakusho.
Can you scroll down? I didn't get a chance to look at all the pictures.
Sure. Oh, you know what? I haven't had it on the right camera this whole time.
Who was it on?
It was just off, and it only goes on when we talk. Like it swaps.
Okay.
I mean, it was earlier, but I think it was earlier. It only goes on when we talk. So this other computer that we're doing this through doesn't have a mic picked up on it, so it never automatically goes on. I have to turn it on manually. So,
one issue I'm wondering about this is you have the Tenchi Muyo shorts to try to promote tourism in this one area. They're currently working on Tenchi Ryo-Oki or Tenchi Muyo Part 4 of the OVA series. And they're having a hard time funding this, or they're doing a Kickstarter.
They're not doing Kickstarter, but they're doing a campfire crowdfunding campaign, which is basically a Japanese version.
Right, the same one that was used for that dormitory that we talked about 2 podcasts ago.
The animator support thing. So just to sum this up real quick, one of the major reasons I don't care for it's not that I hate the show, just that I don't care for harem anime. That there are very few that I would consider worth watching.
Okay,
and
what's
Tenchi
one that you
falls? What?
What's one that you would consider watching?
Well, just one that comes to mind that I enjoyed watching that is sort of part of the Tenchi universe was Parallel Trouble Adventures Duel.
Oh yeah, we need to get you to watch Idiot Adventure Photon.
Photon the Idiot.
More about yeah,
that's getting re-released, right? We'll probably talk about that.
We'll get to that. All right, moving on.
All right, so moving on, Cardcaptor Sakura A Clear Card Arc is going to start. The anime is slated for January 7th.
Can't wait.
Okay, just so that it's clear, and I said this in the video.
Okay.
No, I said this in the video. I will watch the show, and I will probably enjoy the show. The only issue I had was that the Clear Card prologue was very pandering, and it was not a prologue. It was an epilogue. And they billed it as a prologue for the new series, and all they did was wrap up the old series. That's all. I still expect the new series to be enjoyable. It's just that there was no conflict. There was no villain. There was nothing to do with the Clear Card. Nothing happened in the prologue. It was stupid.
Well, going back to deja vu topics, from what I understood from your explanation, it was like they took the ending of movie 2 and redid a little bit of something.
Right. They redid movie 2, and they didn't do it better. That's the thing. Is that it's an alternate retelling of the second movie. Okay, what it actually is, it's a faithful adaptation of the ending to the manga for Cardcaptor Sakura. That's what it is. That's why I say it's an epilogue, because it literally is the end of the manga, not the start of the next thing, not a lead-in to the next thing.
Yeah.
From what I understand, the reason that they had to make that is because they had to create. There were certain things they had to do to bridge the story, because the manga adaptation is apparently like from Cardcaptor Sakura the manga into Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card manga. Like they create like stuff that is taken out or changed in the anime is a necessary plot device for the Clear Card manga. So they had to create the prologue to bridge the gap so that they could adapt the Clear Card manga more accurately and have it work with the previous anime linked with the bridge of the OVA, the Clear Card prologue. So that's basically what happened.
I remember like back in when this was released, I was the same age as the characters when they showed it on Toonami. So
it wasn't on Toonami. It was on Kids.
It was on Kids WB. Then they moved it to Toonami.
Well, I didn't have Cartoon Network back then, so I didn't even. I don't know when. Like Toonami for me wasn't even a thing until I was like 14.
Okay. Well, he was probably in New Zealand at the time.
I probably was.
So there was a rumor about how the show ended, and apparently this rumor spread pretty far out for the region. Like at the end, when she gets the Sakura cards, Sakura was supposed to die, and I'm kind of glad I watched the series when it got its re-release from NIS America just to debunk that was a lie for the anime. I knew for the manga it didn't end like that. So the new Legends of the Galactic Heroes.
Yeah, well, I want to address FDDM says regarding Tenchi, the beginning was confusing as
what
titties. I can't tell if you're doing your like this was AIDS or if that was supposed to say the confusing. It was confusing because of the titles because then you went on to say GXP and War of Geminar were the best ones. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say that My Hime is a harem that I apparently approve of. It's like I'm a collector. Give me a break. I have a bunch of Tenchi, even though I don't care for it. I can't think of another harem though that I would actually consider good. I know I've seen one or two that I thought were good, and then usually it's Please Twins. I enjoyed Please Twins. How about that? There you go.
Twins Basil.
I can put my name on that one. Say what?
Twins Basil. Twins.
All right, so let's get back to Legends of Galactic Heroes. We eventually just need in the future for FDDM to be our third host so that we can hash out all this stuff live instead of through the chat.
Yeah, I kind of
so new Legends of Galactic Heroes anime.
What's throwing me off is the new art style that they chose, because it's not as robust, I guess that's the correct word, or as detailed as the old one. Granted, people can cheat with all the smearing and flash stuff like now. So,
but at the same time, the way that they're doing it feels very reminiscent of the original, and that's pretty cool.
I think this series is supposed to be more true to the light novels.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say, see this light novel right here? Hold on 1 second.
It's all blue.
1 second.
Abadi abadai. Abadi abadai. What's he doing in the background? He went away in the background. Well, what's going to throw off some people for this show is you have all this sci-fi aspect, then you have them going back.
Okay, you're saying that these are supposed to be more true to the light novels?
Yes. What's going to throw off some people?
I have these light novels.
This. Oh, cool. Do you have all right, what's it called?
These are so freaking boring. Freaking boring. I have the audio book.
It's a envisioning of the Persian War.
Okay. This book in the audiobook is like 10 hours long, it feels like. I've gotten through maybe 3 hours of it. It's like listening to an audiobook of the portions of the Bible that are just the lineage from one person to the next, going on for like entire chapters. It is so freaking boring. I really hope that that's not true, that they're going to make it more accurate.
Have you gotten to the point? Have you read to the points that they're doing the war strategies?
Yeah, and it's like it's somewhat interesting. It's mostly, I guess, just the fact that Vertical Ink isn't doing the light novels where they actually highlight. It's just it's so boring.
Oh yeah, do you have any?
I cannot stress enough how fucking boring it is.
Do you have any of the 5-star stories?
You mean
that's one I really.
Are there light novels? Or you mean I have the DVD somewhere? It's probably like right next to me right here.
There's a DVD. Yeah, there's some manga that came out over here, and I believe there's light novels in Japan. Anyway, back to my other topic. What's going to throw some people off while watching the original? You have all this sci-fi aesthetic going around. Then when it's like going to the higher ranking officers or like general fist-to-fist combat, you'll see like people taking like old barbarian like axes, slaughtering people, and the high society wearing powdered wigs as if they're back in the George Washington days. Yeah, I thought that was amusing. I really loved the character development in the original TV series.
I can't wait to see I haven't watched the original because I exclusively watch what I own. I'm dying to see it. I can't wait to see it. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic.
Some will debate on that because it does have a slow pace, but for what you sit down and go through, I say it's worth it.
I hope they dub it. Usually, it's easier to get through a show that's slow if they dub it.
According to the translator,
you're right. I think it actually is.
All right, director Cowboy Bebop is doing a Blade Runner short. Ooh,
yeah. So, you have anything you want to say about this?
I'm excited.
I'm sorry, guys. I've been really behind. Yeah, I just want to say I've been really behind with news and stuff this week, just because my daughter's going to be born next week, so it's been a lot of prep work going on. So I haven't even sat there and watched this.
Yeah, I've been meaning.
So anyway, but just to clarify, this is not the first time this has happened. Well, sort of. I think Shinichiro Watanabe also did the clip in Kill Bill, the first Kill Bill, right?
That sounds right. I still need to watch Kill Bills.
Second one is awesome. Second Kill Bill is awesome. First Kill Bill is it's intentionally a whole different movie, but it's uber violent just for the sake of being uber violent, and there's not a heck of a lot of substance there. But the second one is
hey AC, you can never have too much ketchup on your burger. You might have a pickled burger.
Watch it and you'll understand what I mean. So you want to talk about Cow?
Well, before that, I know this much for Blade Runner, apparently confirmed by a Comic-Con interview.
1 second. Thank you for the congratulations on my daughter, and I'll catch you later. Ren has to leave.
Okay.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Apparently, according to a Comic-Con comment/interview, Harrison Ford only exists to revive badass movies just to get a reboot. But on to this. Kao Yokoyama's Machin Krieger sci-fi franchise gets a Hollywood film adaptation. 1, I hope this is far better than Variant in the Thousand Cities. 2, it's nice to hear another series getting adapted over here. 3, I hope this gets a release over here anime-wise or manga-wise.
I just wish they hadn't brought this up at all, because the fact that they're even raising any awareness to the fact that this is going to be an adaptation is going to make people automatically hate the movie when it comes out. I think that, like, I always say this, I feel like the thing that really helped Edge of Tomorrow is that nobody knew that it was based on All You Need Is Kill.
I'll watch it and judge it on its merit when it comes out, but I'm just glad something is exposed that it's not really known over here.
I think that this is I think that we have reached a tipping point, personally. A lot of people, like I said in my review, my first impressions of Death Note, is that I feel like a lot of people are afraid to like the film. They're afraid of the film because even if it's good or bad, they're afraid it's going to result in more live action anime adaptations, right? And I think that we've reached a tipping point where it doesn't matter what your opinion is. It doesn't matter if you get some guy to quit Twitter. It's going to happen. It's on its way, you know? And I think we've already reached that tipping point, and I think in the next 3 to 5 years we're just going to start seeing a lot of stuff coming out here that is much not necessarily like a live action of like this particular show that's real popular, but like this stuff we're talking about with this sci-fi Hollywood thing we just talked about. And I think we're just going to see more and more and more of this happening because it's what's selling. You know, this industry is booming. This industry made it through a really rough recovery after the 2008 financial collapse and all that. So it's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, hey, that Mecha guy's here. FDGM said, people say, oh, they'll never dub Legend of the Galactic Heroes because they had over 600 voice actors. Yeah. He says, but friggin' if Japanese people can do it, then English people can too. And who cares about 600 voice actors? Just get Greg Ayers to voice 560 of them or something. A lot of voice actors voice, like practically, if you look at any anime on Anime News Network and look at the number of voice actors in the Japanese version versus the English version, they always condense them down because they pay our guys over here to do multiple people, like just, and most of them go uncredited. They do like, you know, that one guy in episode 5, you know what I mean? So
yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll finally get a Jim Cummings. Maybe we'll finally get a Jim Cummings to voice a anime role for once.
Who's that?
Jim Cummings, voice of Julian Ivo Robotnik, Lord Boxman.
Oh, yeah.
The singing voice of Scar from Lion King. I can Pooh Bear and Tigger.
Wow. That Mecha guy says, how do you guys deal with work not allowing you to have a day off on holidays, especially on the 4th of July weekend? I'm self-employed. That's how I deal with that.
I went through college. I worked jobs that explicitly let me have time off. So I hate to hear that for you. Grit your teeth, work through this hell.
Basically,
and better yourself.
My recommendation is bring it up early and keep pestering them about it or reminding them about it leading up to the actual event. And get that time off. And buy your ticket for AX super early. Prices are about to go up. I already have mine. I buy mine on July 5th every year. So, let's see.
However, if you work like a certain retail store like Best Buy or Staples or something, I think you might be out of luck. But talk to your supervisor. Just be modest and go from there. He just did today. LOL. All right, so what about
this ticket? So going back to anime adaptations, Thor Ragnarok's Taika Waititi is in talks to direct the live-action Akira. Okay, Augie, before I go into what I wanted to bring up about this, do you have anything you want to say about live-action Akira?
Let me chew through this brownie first.
Okay, well then I'll say what I was going to say. So the reason I wanted to bring this up, have you guys ever heard of the movie What We Do in the Shadows? It's a New Zealand made mockumentary of it's kind of popular on Reddit. People for a while were posting memes from it, where they basically did a mockumentary going around following a bunch of vampire flatmates. And it's really funny. The guy who's directing this, the guy who directed Thor Ragnarok, literally, that's him. He plays this character. This is such a funny movie. Definitely worth checking out. So anyway, are you done with your brownie? Because that's literally all I wanted to say about Thor Ragnarok director going for live action Akira.
I'm glad this is finally getting a live action movie. Then again, I will still believe this when I see a trailer played for this.
True.
And this has been like the rumors for like over 20 years now.
In the meantime, go watch the movie Chronicle, which is from that guy who directed the guy that they pulled on to do that reboot of Fantastic Four before they railroaded that whole project. go watch that movie Chronicle, because it's like Akira in a way. It's kind of more like I don't know if I want to say Elfen Lied. It's worth checking out. It's very anime-ish, and it gave me Akira vibes when I watched it.
I'm still waiting for the Simpsons to do their part.
To do their part of what?
Of Akira.
What do you mean?
Oh, you haven't seen the fan-made Akira trailer with Simpsons characters?
No, I never watched The Simpsons. I'm sorry. I never watched it growing up. I don't half the references you throw out about all this stuff is like, it's just okay. I'm going to move past that because I don't have any contribution to it. So we've got a couple more we're going to rush through, and then we're going to get through our talk about Lucky Star and all that. So Maximum the Hormone, this band, I phrased that weird. So the band Maximum the Hormone, that's the name of the band. They're launching a manga about their band. This band does a lot of anime work. Kind of looks like for Neverworld a little bit. They did the second opening and ending theme songs for Death Note, an ending song for Air Master, and they did that famous insert song for Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. So I just thought I'd bring this up. Kind of interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's not the first time this has happened. I think, didn't Avril Lavigne have a manga over here? like an American style manga?
Princess AI?
Something like that. She did her own. I think it was Avril Lavigne. I don't know.
Yeah, the guy that you just showed looked like a fatter player from Korn.
Yeah. He kind of does, yeah. I forgot that guy's name, actually, the lead singer from Korn.
I don't know.
I forget his name. Moving on. They're making a live-action Yowamushi Pedal movie, and I guess an actor for it suffered a spinal cord injury during the filming. So do with that knowledge what you will. And now the interesting stuff. Discotheque licenses.
Ooh, yes. Finally. I've been mentioning this to AC in the background about Barefoot Jen. It happened.
Barefoot. Is it? Okay, hold on. Is it Barefoot Jen or is it Barefoot Gen?
I don't know. Whatever you want to drink.
What?
I don't know. Whatever you want to drink.
Well, it's not Barefoot Gin.
How do you pronounce Jigen's first name?
Daisuke?
No.
Why?
I say Jin calls it Jigen, but I don't know.
Well, but Jigen is that's Jigen. So it would be Gen.
Yeah, I'm getting my Italian confused.
Gen. Anyway.
Gen or Jen, I am not sure. It's probably Gen.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I've not sat down and watched it yet. Not because I don't want to see it. I'm actually really dying to see it, but I have a really rare version of it, and mine's unopened, so I haven't opened it yet. So I haven't sat down and watched it. Yeah. Anyway.
Got a tooth bicycle horn there. So I'm scrolling down.
So Yowamushi Pedal, the anime movie, is coming out.
Yeah.
Photon the Idiot's getting re-released. Is this all that's on the list? I guess because after AWA,
they did make an announcement. They did give a release date for Lupin the Third Part 2.
Yes, Collection 2. I think it's coming out in November, December.
December.
Yeah.
And they just got done with a power outage in the Florida hurricane.
Right, they're back online. Yeah, so it's looking good for them. All right, let's. That mecha guy, we already discussed that topic. I'm sorry. He's bringing up the. I
know.
The DVD stuff. I'm mentioning it so that people watching this video in the future who don't see the chat are understanding. So, but he's bringing up what we talked about earlier about the Sentai no longer selling DVD discs, or basically phasing out DVD discs by 2019.
Before we move for Barefoot Gen. Apparently, movie 1 will have a dub, but movie 2 will not, because the dub was done by Streamline Pictures.
Oh, they're saying that right here?
Yeah. Okay. What happened with Streamline Pictures is it wasn't a financial issue. The owner just happened to die.
Oh, okay.
So there's still a
That
lot
sucks.
more license. There's still a lot of other licenses trapped in license hell, like Through the Valley, Through the Wind, which I really wish that would get a release, but no one knows what I'm talking about. It's like a Chinese version of Anastasia. Just get rid of the lich.
Yeah. Yeah. FDDM brought up stupid G pronunciations in Japan as a pain. Stupid Studio Ghibli. People call it Ghibli or Ghibli. When it goes that way, you have to understand it's written in katakana for a reason because it's based on an actual other word. The problem is that the word it's based on, they're mispronouncing.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Then you have the weird L and R stuff.
Yeah. So, oh God, I was just about to bring something up. What was I going to talk about? Shit, it's gone. It's gone. Sorry, guys. Shoot. No. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I guess we're going to move on to. That's why. Lucky Star and Dallos.
Ooh.
I was looking over here for Dallos. That's what I was going to do.
Wait, where's the camera right now?
The camera is on. It's free. It's going free on whoever's talking.
Okay.
I do own Dallas, don't I?
I do own Dallas. I requested this to be brought over to answer my question, and how they released this was awesome.
So
but first, Lucky Star.
Do you want to do Lucky Star first?
Yeah, let's do Lucky Star first.
All right. So I don't remember if I brought it. I probably brought it up last podcast, but another pickup that I got was the Lucky Star OVA. So I watched the OVA first just because.
What do you think? How'd you feel?
I'm just going to treat the OVA as an extension. I'm not going to. We watched it for the sake of completing, right, the series, okay. But I'm just going to treat it as part of the show. Overall, the show, I didn't love it. The beginning, like, there's nothing wrong with the show, but I just couldn't get into it. Although, and you kind of highlighted to me when we talked previously before the podcast why this was. I felt like the show really picked up at a certain point in the middle, and I guess that they swapped directors. So I started to really enjoy the show at like episode 12 or 16 or something like that. And apparently it was like right on the money at the point where the director switched. So it picked up for me. You know what it was for me is it was actually when they started bringing in those other characters. Because it's not that I didn't like the original characters, but the pacing of the whole show is very slow, and it felt long. It felt long without anything happening. There was only one part in the entire show that actually caused me to laugh out loud, and that's not to say that the other parts weren't humorous. You know, the kind of funny where it's like, oh, that's clever, that's funny, you know. But like the one part that made me actually really laugh out loud was when they go over to that one girl's house who the artist girl, and she leaves the room because this is every artist's worst fear, no matter what they draw. She leaves the room and comes back, and they're going through her sketchbook. That was the only part that I actually audibly laughed at, you know. So anyway, what about you, Augie? This is like your 18th time watching it?
6th time watching it all the way through. I've seen both dub and sub of it. This time around, I also watched the documentary of them doing the live action shots for the ending of the show. They first do like a karaoke bar type of deal. Then they swap to the voice actors doing live action shenanigans. I watched that this time, and what's strange is if you remember in Sega Dreamcast game with the sailors. Anyway, it'll come to me. They stopped by it's not Onimusha. Anyway, they stopped by this one area that was from that game.
Okay.
Game. It's where you do the capsule capsules and the awkward saying of the sailors the whole time. It's getting a third game released soon. Darn it, I wish I knew the name of.
While you're thinking, I'm going to address a comment FDDM has here. He says, Lucky Star, I tried to watch on Crunchyroll years ago, sub only, and he found it impossible to watch because it was such a drag to read all those mundane pieces of information. Actually, I was going to bring this up. I started watching it sub, and I felt the same way. When I originally watched it, I originally started to watch it dubbed before we even started doing the podcast. I didn't hate the dub, but Konata feels, it's one of those things where I wish I could select which character is going to be in what language, and then just read the subtitles for Konata and then all the other characters in English. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like her Japanese voice actor, I thought that it got progressively better with the English voice actor, but I just felt like it was a difficult character to capture in English. But I switched over, I think, around episode 12, which is also around the time I started to really like it. I think it's actually episode 16, I think, is the point where I really started to enjoy the show. But I'm in the exact same boat. I switched over to the dub, and it was a lot easier to get through. And he said, Konata at first did feel a bit weird. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so same thing. Anyway, so you're talking about also I was disappointed at first that they stopped doing the karaoke thing, because the whole thing about Lucky Star, I'm a big fan of things that are clever. If you come up with a clever idea, I'll buy the DVD, regarding shows and stuff. I'll buy the DVD just because it was clever. I don't know if we talked about this in the podcast, but there's that one adult title that they released that coincided with the election that they titled Grab Her by the Pussy. And it came out literally on November 8th. It's like, I just had to buy it. That was clever because, like, literally the day he said it, the day during the debate that, or I guess it was actually the day after the debate where he said, because you'd be in jail, when Trump was debating Hillary.
Enough,
but then they have the
politics. Back to anime.
Yeah, I'm just saying they came out with they listed it. It was like they jumped on it. I was just saying it was clever. It was a clever idea. They jumped on it quick, and I appreciated the cleverness of it. So with Lucky Star, I appreciated the cleverness of it. What a great idea to make your ending theme, instead of having a dedicated ending, to just use endings from other shows and have the characters doing them as karaoke. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant idea. I was at first disappointed that they stopped doing that, but the guy that they had doing the live action segments was so dedicated to his role in the thing that it cracked me up. Like it was really. That they did that specific one where I forgot what they were doing. There's like a buzzer or something to cause him to switch. There were like 9 different songs he was going through, and he was like swapping to the next one every time they would trigger the switch. That was incredible. That was incredible to watch him.
Well, before I get back to my opinion, they did show the live action part of that in the documentary, and he kept getting what roles mixed up. So originally it was 3, then they just changed it to 9 due to lack of filming time.
John Shane says that one of his favorite parts is the Lucky Channel segments.
Well, good for him. I really like the show. I really think you and FTDM have awkward opinions of it. I didn't feel like it was slow whatsoever. The whole conversations that they were having felt like a snowball just going down a slope. It just kind of escalated and escalated. So I understood where these characters, what their mindsets were, what they were going through, even though it's the simple life, and the quirkiness of how they handle a situation.
Well, 2 things. I've already established this with you, but just so that it's verbalized here, I do feel like if I had seen Lucky Star when it first came out, I probably would have liked it a lot more. Number 2, and I've also told you this, I felt like there were a lot of things that there were a lot of aspects to the show that they brought up and didn't utilize to its full potential. Like they had a lot, it's kind of like, this is going to be a really weird analogy. Geico has the commercials with the gecko, the Geico gecko, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, so when you think about Geico, you think about the gecko, but Geico also has the caveman and like 100 other things going on at once. You know what I mean? It's like you think about the gecko as the mascot, but they've got a million other things going on, you know, with their commercials. So with this, they had stuff like Konata going to the used bookstore.
And it's not a used bookstore, it's Gamers. It's a franchise.
Sure. But she's going to Gamers, right? And it was they had those segments, and I felt like they kept reusing the same gag with that, and I felt like they could have done more with it, you know. And it felt like it never really connected fully. Like the first time, that's where I perked up in episode 10. And I know it's weird that I remember the exact episode it was, but I perked up in episode 10 when they had that segment, because I thought, okay, this is interesting. Like I want to see what they do with this. But then every time it came up again, it was just like a repeat, basically, you know.
I've seen worse repeats with Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes, and for some reason they keep doing it like 100 times more than what Lucky Star did.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and defend either of those shows, because I don't think Tom and Jerry or Looney Tunes are worth your time. But I just feel like they were there were a lot of things that I felt like they could have approached. They didn't really show them go to like a convention like Comic-Con. Yes. They talked about it.
No, they went to Comic-Con two times.
Did they?
As a group, yeah. They did go to Comic-Con.
But not in they didn't explore it.
It's not Comics Party exploration, but they did
go
there. Go there. Tsukasa got lost. Kagami was trying to hunt stuff for Konata and some stuff of her own agenda.
I just didn't think that. I felt like there were a lot of aspects. For instance, the Gamers thing. It was like the used bookstore. For anybody who didn't remember the name of the store, it felt like, you know, they brought up these things, but they didn't explore them. They had plenty of time to, you know what I mean? But I felt like a lot of it was dedicated to this really slow, sort of dry humor. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Like I said, I didn't hate the show, but I also just didn't walk away from it, you know, like I don't think back on any particular moment from it and chuckle, you know, the way I did during Detroit Metal City. You know what I mean?
Okay. Another aspect that I like about the show is how it describes culture, and you can kind of see it better applied, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. Like the whole, what do they do at a shrine around Christmas? How do they celebrate Christmas? How do they manage the new game coming out? How does the teacher manage the new game coming out?
Right. That actually was an interesting dynamic. That Konata and her teacher were both part of like the same guild.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I don't play any MMOs, so a lot of those references were lost on me.
A lot of Lucky Star is kind of commentary about when I went through high school too.
Right. And that's what I mean is that if I had watched it when it came out, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more, you know, because I remember being on 4chan back in the day, and Lucky Star was like, they worshipped it, you know. The A boards on 4chan just worshipped Lucky Star for like Konata was like the mascot of 4chan for the A boards for a while. And there's all those drawings of her with like her shorts down at her ankles on just one leg, you know. It's like they're projecting themselves, because that's the character very much was that neck beard type character, you know, but they were projecting, you know, their things on it. You have to see it. You have to be there. You have to be there to get it. But like I said, I feel like if I had watched it when it first came out, I probably would have viewed it differently. But it had an interestingly release. Like the release was kind of weird. It was when it came out, I don't know what was going on with my life specifically that it wasn't on my radar to get it, because I think, oh, you know what it was? It was the fact that they, like Haruhi, released it with a special edition for each volume.
Yeah.
Right? So I eventually only got it once it came out with the Anime Legends set. That's exactly what happened. Same thing with Haruhi. I didn't think Haruhi was that good. I didn't watch it right as it came out. But I will say that I thought that the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya was excellent, and it made me want to go back and rewatch and give Haruhi a second chance. I just haven't yet. So I will say that. And I did like, actually, that's another thing regarding Lucky Star that I really liked. There was that moment where they went to her job at the cafe. And it was like a Haruhi cafe, and Konata was dressed up as Haruhi, and they did the Haruhi theme and everything. I thought that was clever. I thought that was a funny bit that they did. My favorite scenes in the whole show was during that clip when they cut to the reaction of the guy dressed up as Kyon, was just so stupid and funny. So I did like that for sure.
It's not stupid; it's silly. Another aspect of the slice of life, not surprisingly, is how they applied the family aspects.
Yeah. And like I said, I felt like the weakness in the beginning of Lucky Star was that they basically only followed the 4 girls and the teacher, and only a little bit on the teacher, and then like Konata's, was it her aunt or her big sis? What are they? The policewoman? It was basically the main 4, then
her cousin,
and her cousin. Then these 2 extra characters that are kind of like supporting, like when needed in some scenes. They weren't really main character sort of level. And then at a certain point, a bunch of new characters came in. They just sort of flooded in other classmates and stuff. The girl who is the artist, her cousin's sister or whatever, the girl with the pink hair that was sickly, the taller girl that she hung out with, who had breast envy, and then Misao, who is my favorite character because my favorite voice actor voiced her. And I don't know why I can never remember that voice actor's name, but it's the girl who does Kari from Digimon. And John Shane is saying that he thinks Haruhi and Konata were voiced by the same voice actor in both the sub and the dub. Yeah, I think that was the case, right?
I believe so. I thought the Japanese was Yuki Nagato and Konata, but I could be off on that.
That might be because there was a lot of references of her as Yuki as well. We could look it up right now. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard. Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
Oh, I still have plenty more to say about
go ahead.
show.
Go for it. I'm gonna look this up real quick.
There's like a short segment where Tsukasa, Konata, and their 2 big sisters, they went home, and the 2 big sisters were fussing at Kagami for not getting some supplies to make a meal that she found at a restaurant. So at the whole time you see like a dynamic of who's receiving what tension and sibling jealousy throughout the situation. So how that escalates and the jealousy and bickering, you kind of see it come together at the end where they finally make the meal. Then, oh, surprise, mom and dad are home. Then all of a sudden, everyone's delightful.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get more of the quote unquote otaku aspect with Konata and her father. Like the whole commentary of how the stores will do stuff when stuff airs, and apparently primetime anime airs about the same way as Fox Animation airs. With those damn baseball games always ruining everything.
Okay. One more thing I will say is that another thing that probably would have helped me to enjoy the show a lot more is if I didn't have this pregnancy, at the terminal
Yeah.
stages of it itself. I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more not having to deal with that, because
That's fair.
I will say that, because you're bringing up a lot of good points. It's like, yeah, I did enjoy that, but at the same time, I just had all this stress going on that it was just kind of like held behind. So I want to bring up real quick. I looked this up. The Japanese voice actor for Haruhi is also the voice actor for Konata. The Japanese voicer for Yuki is also the voice actor for Minami. Same with the English voice actors. So Wendy Lee is Haruhi in the English one, and also Konata, and Michelle Ruff is Minami and Yuki Nagato. So
wasn't Wendy Lee also in Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
My dad was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Was she? I'm not kidding. Will you bring up a picture of it?
No, how you said it was hilarious.
I'm not kidding.
I know you're not kidding, but how you applied the statement. It's like someone saying, my dad landed a plane.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
Show it.
Okay, hold on.
Let's see. So what got you down more about this was not the watching.
I'm showing the image right now.
Oh, you're showing it. Wait. Oh, really?
Yeah. For one episode.
For one episode, though.
Yeah, as the Claw. I don't know if the character actually had a name, but yeah, this is my dad in vampire makeup. You can tell based on the hairline. He's got this massive, like, widow's peak style. Anyway.
Yeah, it's not that bad of a widow's peak.
Well, he is wearing a wig too in this. Anyway, so I'm looking up real quick the other characters from Haruhi to see if the other, what was her name? Mikuru?
Yeah, that's the pink-haired girl's name. Oh yeah, there's something else that's been bothering me with this show. Every once in a while, sometimes entering a different short, the girls keep commenting about something being stinky. Either being around something, maybe it's a boy. I think Sebastian was considered one of the stinky items.
I loved that she called him Sebastian.
Yeah.
Because that's a reference to Black. I'm assuming they're referencing Black Butler.
I'm not sure if that was around back then, because this was like 2006, 2007.
Let me look it up, because I thought that guy was a voice actor in the Japanese. You were probably right. Let me look up Stephanie Shea's Mikuru in the English one. So the voice actor in the Japanese one for Mikuru was in Lucky Star, but just as a random character in episode 23. Let me check the English one real quick. HIJK. Lucky Star as Akira. Yeah, so she was the Lucky Channel girl.
Okay.
There were a lot of references to the Meikara beam gag in Haruhi.
Still surprised you don't like it, but that's your own judgment.
I didn't. When did I say I didn't like it?
Okay,
I just said I didn't love it.
Fine. You don't find it up to your taste, but it's watchable. How about that?
Yeah.
Let's see. Something else. Oh yeah, there's a spinoff series called Miyakawa Ke no Kufuku. Towards the end, you'll see like this blue-haired character and this tall pink-haired character fussing about making the whole train ride to come to the school festival. This is another series from the Kagami Project, or Kagami Yoshimizu.
Mm-hmm. So wait, this is. So when did Lucky Star come out?
Lucky Star, let's see, the TV series. It came out in 2007.
Okay, so yeah, Black Butler was the following year, but
Manga,
the
though.
voice actor for Sebastian is in Lucky Star in episode 20 as Daisuke Ono, so it's not the same guy. Anyway,
the manga started back in 2005. So yeah, this is literally I am as old as the characters of the show then. Wow. So Lucky Channel, I like the whole calamity of the situation with that. My thoughts on the karaoke versus live action segments. I much prefer anime to stay animated, but after watching the show, watching more of the live action parts, especially after the OVA, I start to feel like I know these voice actors during this whole play, essentially.
I want to address the chat real quick. So first of all, FDDM, catch you later. You're probably already gone, but see ya.
See you later.
Wants to know what the most expensive anime we own is. I think we went through that in the first podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went over that before.
Yeah, so if you want to check out episode 1, go ahead. It'll all be there. Something else that I should have brought up way earlier in this. Out there, I bought the domain name for OCAPodcast.com. So if you ever want to find the playlist for it, it just redirects to the YouTube playlist. But there's that, and then theanimecollector.com will redirect you to the channel. I bring this up because I tweeted that out. I just like, hey, just FYI, when I have my Twitter set up to automatically post to my Facebook page whenever I tweet something, and when it posted to the Facebook page, it changed the URL from OCAPodcast.com. It changed it to the YouTube link. So it's on Twitter, it makes a lot of sense. Hey, just FYI, OCAPodcast.com will take you to the podcast playlist. And then on Facebook it says, hey, just FYI, t.ocyBuf will take you to this thing. Anyway, I thought I would bring that up. So should we move? I was going to ask if we should move on to Dallas, but you probably still have more to say about Lucky Star.
If I have anything more extra to say about the TV series, I'll just write a review. I think I've gotten majority chunk. Then we get to the OVA. This is a different beast for me because
the dog played a pretty big role in the OVA compared to the anime. The dog was there. It was weird. You have to keep in mind I watched the OVA first, so there in the anime, but he just like once or twice.
Yeah.
And that Mecha guy says he wishes there was a continuation of Martian's successor Nadesco.
Well, they randomly made an OVA, so it could be possible. I mean, they're bringing back Full Metal Panic.
Yeah, but I can understand Full Metal Panic a little bit more just because that already had 3 series.
And it's about to get it's going through the whole Bandai treatment of the first season getting 3 compilation movies.
Yeah.
All right, so for me on the Lucky Star OVA, it's in 3 parts. You have 2 parts sentimental story, 1 part more involved action, if you will. Action and silliness. Then you have the live action ending, which I found hilarious. But yeah, the dog part was very sentimental. It didn't have, like you pointed out, he was there but not really mentioned. But as we kind of explored more of her mansion and what the dog goes through, it kind of leaves on a sad note because the dog's about to die. They don't say it, but like the symptoms of a dog reaching that old of age, like not eating from the dog bowl, just burying random food, even though there's fresh food there, wandering off. So you have that.
I didn't pick up on that because I've never had a dog that buried food.
Well, That's fine, but that's another way to look at it. Then
Yeah.
you have the volleyball game, which you have Kagami's side and Tsukasa's side. The whole tension is them playing volleyball, but it focuses more on Tsukasa this time because she's always like a step behind her sister, which it intensifies because she might win. Which I won't spoil what happened there, but it's one of those bittersweet endings that leaves you to remember it quite well.
Yeah. I definitely should not have watched the OVA first.
Hey, apparently I started Nichijou on episode 0, which everyone scolded me right afterwards because apparently I'm supposed to watch that at the end, even though it's just it's like Azumanga Daioh, the short movie that's just a 5
Well, I'm glad you
minute
said that because I was about to start watching Nichijou on my own.
Yeah, it's like Azumanga Daioh, the short movie that just abridged the first episode in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you have the Cinderella Dream.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, yes, you do. It's on the cover. She turns into
Miku,
her, and she gets back in her witch costume to cause havoc.
Yeah. I don't remember Cinderella at all, so I probably just...
Well, that's how her magic just went away. It's past 12.
Right. Yeah. I remember now.
She had to scream that catchphrase that was censored.
Yeah. No, they censor. There's a lot of bleeping, and it's like all they're doing is a lot of times just bleeping out
license name,
company name or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they can't afford the license.
But it was in the Japanese dub and the English dub.
Yeah.
And it's dumb that you can't just say something, Well,
like,
there's no reason why. Like, in America, the law would let you just offhandedly say something, Yeah.
Then again, you have the whole JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where apparently a common word is echoes you can't say echoes, even though that's a common verb. But
why not?
Because it's an album cover, kind of like White Album is a Beatles cover, even though that is the most blandest name for a title of a band cover that you can get. It sounds more like a wedding album, if anything.
That's so dumb because characters in JoJo are literally named the REO Speedwagon Foundation.
Yeah, which that's perfectly fine to say.
Anyway, continue.
Oh man, the dream sequence I'll admit I had more fun with it because you have Kagami and Konata do their common bickering like they do through the show. However, Konata has powers that will get the stubborn girl to go out and do something like her family went out to did. So what was awkward was she turned into the twin-tailed girl from Fate's Day Night.
Rin?
I don't know her name. Rin
Tosaka.
Yeah.
I hate that I know that.
So that is it on my part.
Well, I don't have much more to say about it. I think I've iterated everything I wanted to say about Lucky Star. I want to address this comment real quick. That Mecha guy says he's been wanting to watch Toradora, and he wants to know if I recommend it or if we recommend that series. Go ahead.
Want me to go?
Yeah. I've
seen it. I have no idea why in the world people are crying at the end because, well, it's... go ahead and ruin it.
No, don't ruin it. I haven't seen it.
Don't ruin it? Okay. I enjoyed the romantic comedy of the situation and how the characters worked. What I don't understand from other people who bawl their eyes out is it has no... I won't ruin it, but there's no reason to cry over something that isn't, well, drastic.
Well, how about this? Do you recommend that he asked if we recommend it? Is it worth watching? Just say that.
I say it's worth watching.
Okay.
Another similar to this might be Maid-sama, but not as silly.
that was rough for me to get through.
Really?
I watched that with my wife. Didn't like it. Did not like it. I didn't hate it. Another thing where it's like I felt like I was wasting my time watching it. Now, just real quick about my Toradora experience. I bought Toradora the year I got married. I got married on July 4th. I still went to Anime Expo with my wife. We bought it at Anime Expo the year we got married, so like the day before we got married, and we watched it. We watched like the first disc on our honeymoon together. So I'll say that I haven't finished it, but I have watched part of it. I recommend it. I don't remember anything about it other than that the girl is super short. But I remember liking it. So let's talk Dallos. First thing I want to say, I love the typography change in terms of the color and the style that they did for the DVD. So much more than how it looks in the show.
Oh, well, not to be confused with Dallas. With what's the point of having Dallas if JR's dead? Yeah, I remember suggesting this on I can't find the post, which is killing me, but I messaged somehow I messaged Discotech to release this. I gave like a paragraph explaining that it was first OVA to Maharu Oshii.
I think you replied to a post, and that's why you're having trouble finding it, is it wasn't a post you made. So it's so hard. We looked for it for a while. You sent it to me at one time.
Yeah. Before
we started the podcast. And I think you sent it to me through a Google Hangout. So we lost the link because it was in the chat, not in the Facebook chat where it gets archived.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically you suggested that they license this, and they did.
Before we go into it, similar to this would be, well, Venus Wars or Jinro. Maybe a little.
Yeah.
Well, you can see this being like how he can work up to creating that series.
Yeah, because it's from Oshii, who also did Jinro.
Oh yeah.
So
maybe
real quick, I forgot. I just saw it here, and I totally forgot to watch the pilot film.
Yeah, it's not much. It just explained how human civilization can advance to create a lunar colony on the moon. Which, in real life, we don't want something on the moon. We'll dirty it up.
Released in 4 parts, starting in December 1983, Dallas is an early directional effort by the great Mamoru Oshii, which made history as the first anime OVA ever created. So this is the first to DVD movie, I guess you could call it that.
Yeah.
For anime.
First direct to home video anime. It beat Osamu Tezuka's Green Eyed Cat, which he was trying to experiment doing a similar idea. However, if you watch the documentary on the DVD, which I only was able to watch half of it, him and the studio, which I believe is Parrot, wanted to experiment. Piero. Thank you. I've been wondering how to pronounce that for a long time.
Yeah. See, I have this distinct advantage because I speak Japanese to a degree. I've taken like 3 years of it. So I cannot tell you how frustrating it is for me. Like Mr. Nice Guy recently put out a video, and he did a video on, interestingly enough, another Oshii movie, Urusei Yatsura movie 2, Beautiful Dreamer, and he calls it period, and I'm like, dude, it says right there, and oh, that's hiragana. He can't, yeah, but in the hiragana it says Piero, or actually no, that's
I'll go by with how you pronounce it. However, that's a trick statement because they spell it in English.
Well, yes, but the way that they pronounce it is based on how they write it in Japanese, and it's P-A-R-O. The R-O-T, the T is supposed to be silent.
Kind of like how I go about watching the preview to find out how it's pronounced.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, also,
speaking of which, Paul, how do you guys pronounce K-on? Is it K-on or K-on?
Because trick statement there is the show pronounces it both ways.
Anyway, so back to Dallas.
Back to Dallas. Also, a similar in the vein of a scientific way of presenting a show. This would also rival Mighty Space Miners, except this has more of a this is more complete than Mighty Space Miners. All right, so main gist of the story.
The main character reminded me a lot, in terms of character design, for some reason, of Hikaru Ichijo from Macross.
Really, for me, he reminds me of Amuro
From the original Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yep.
I have only seen like the first 2 episodes of the original Gundam.
So you do remember?
I do remember what he looks like, and I can see now that you mention it why you say that. That guy?
Yeah.
Does his hair change?
No, his hair doesn't change. He still has the same lock.
It's like this Jufro.
Well, Shun, the character we're talking about, which is this guy right here. I have no idea if you can see that properly. Shun.
His name is Shun.
Shun. How they written the character was very similar to Amuro. He's a tinkerer. Well, he's able to figure out how to use stuff in a much versatile way.
I meant
the establishment destroyed his family. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, I should have clarified.
Then you have Dog, the cocky guy who's in charge that has opinions against the establishment. Then you have, what's the white-haired guy's name?
The guy, I remember his dog's name was Geronimo.
His red spectacled dog's name was Geronimo. Shun's idol. Alex.
All right. And then the girl's name was Melinda. The blonde girl. And then the other girl was Rachel, I think.
Yes. Which I feel bad for the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like
okay.
The situation is you take Amuro, Fraubo, and Sayla. It's as if Fraubo's been defending Amuro this whole time, but Amuro wants to go sleep with Sayla, who doesn't really have much to do with him.
Once again, Hikaru Ichijo, Lin Minmei, and what's the other girl's name?
I don't know.
But you get what I'm saying. Like
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I felt. That's kind of how I felt watching it.
Okay.
Yeah,
how they applied.
I didn't love it, but I also when I watch an old anime like this, I appreciate things that are not really relevant to the actual story.
Right.
I appreciate older anime for the visual spectacle it is when I watch it and think somebody sat there and drew that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And I appreciate the amount of effort that goes into, especially in anime like Crusher Joe. There are a bunch of like chase sequences where the entire background is being redrawn in every frame, you know? Oh, yeah. And it's like these, and it's not just that you're moving the background, it's that you're doing it in a 3-dimensional space. And the mind behind the hand drawing that has to be able to do that perspective, that to a huge degree.
If you look at the weapon animation, they excelled a lot there.
In regards to Dallos?
Yes, because if you think of the physics of the situation, if you have bullets with gravity, it will fall down. If you shoot bullets in space, the casing will just go up in a vertical, some sort of vertical
but
line,
they did have
or vector.
They really overdid that shot where the bullet casings were bouncing down the stairs. That got an audible laugh out of me, how ridiculous that was. Oh. I mean, it was insane how much like what it is. It was like
did it also funny to find like these ultra realistic animation, perfect to a point, then out of nowhere some background character is doing like this horrible animation flaw?
That happens a lot.
You can tell this was an experimental project.
Hold on.
That's weird.
That Mecha guy says, guys, this is weird, but you have given me a good name for my female lead character for a book I'm writing. Which name? Melinda, Rachel. What other names did we come up with?
Dog.
Lin May.
Alex.
What other female? Alex is the guy, but yeah. But it is a gender neutral name.
Oh.
That Mecha guy, when you're done writing the book, if you get it published, send it to us. Every time I hear see, the thing about Melinda for me, I can't help but think about Melinda Gates, Bill Gates' wife.
Oh.
That's for me. That's what popped in my head. But yeah, if you actually publish the book, send us a copy and we'll like read it and talk about it the way we do the anime stuff. That'd be fun.
So, for the story of Dalos, how each episode is applied is very reminiscent to old sci-fi short reels like Flash Gordon or some sort of Lensman variant.
Right.
So,
yeah, I can't
really
get over this cover. So sick the way they did the graphic design on this thing. Anyway, I'm gonna put it down. So,
how each scene is presented, it's kind of like a newspaper clip. You're just kind of reliving throughout this whole conflict, which might turn a few people off, but I get what they're trying to do with it.
It was an interesting storytelling. The way that the story was handled was different, and it was.
I can see it be slow paced for a lot of people.
Let me put it this way: there's a reason that not a lot of shows approach it the same way.
Yeah,
there's a reason it's not the tried and true standard of storytelling.
So, as we're talking about Dalos, to me, when I first took a glance at this mechanized god, as they call it, at first glance, it kind of reminded me of the face of Imperfect Cell for some reason. Then the more I kept looking at it, looks like an aviator mask on, an aviator pilot.
It kind of reminded me of in Alien, in the first Alien movie, when they go to I'm gonna leave the call on this other one. I think we can. Here we go. Alien movie, when they go to the what are those called? The
Prometheus.
Not Prometheus. I mean, yes, in Prometheus you see it more up close, but the architects, is that what they called them? In the original Alien movie, they go into the cockpit and you see a lot of the stuff, but you have no idea what it means. And that was the point of Prometheus, was to sort of show and kind of like answer all these questions from the original Alien. That's what I thought of, was sort of the design there of the, I think they called them the architects. I forget what they called them, but the pilot in the cockpit kind of thing. That's the vibe I got out of the Dalos planet face. The engineer, the space jockey. Yeah, that's what it was. Not the architect.
I hate to admit this, but for the Alien series, I've only seen movie 2 through 4.
Well, 2 is the best one in my opinion. 1 and 2 are great. 3 is
3. There's no reason
for. They
for
killed Newt.
I liked 4.
Which one is that? Is that the one with Ron Perlman?
May. I don't know.
No, 4 is the one that's on the prison planet.
No, that's 3.
That's 3?
3 is on the prison planet. 4 is the one that revives Ripley as an alien clone herself.
Yeah, that's the one with Ron Perlman, the guy who plays Hellboy. Yeah, that one is stupid, but it's one of the that one is stupid.
It does something.
But it's the thing is that when it came out, there was a time where you could say this is the stupidest Alien movie. That is no longer the case after Alien versus Predator.
You'd think that they would go with the Dark Horse storyline where they're on the frozen planet and the predators raising this girl to become one of them.
We are getting so far off topic.
From Dallas. So tell me your opinion about the skiing robots.
I can't believe this. The ones that they look like what are they called? You talking about the long two-legged things they were using, right?
Yes, in the Sea of Nostalgia Part 2. That they used as decoys, I think, or was that the real ones attacking?
I couldn't tell you. Hold on, I'm gonna. Oh, where is it? Here it is. I'm gonna rejoin the call real quick and show you what I'm talking about with the. Sorry, all this stuff happening over here. I'm gonna screen share on this other computer. Screen share. Share. Here you go. This is the Space Jockey.
Well, let me jump over there on my end. Okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot what we were talking about. The two-legged robot. The
skiing robot.
Something about it reminded me of either the first episode of Mobile Suit Gundam or the first episode of Macross.
That's fair. Keep in mind from
I
what
feel
special.
I can't separate the two in my head about what happens. Do they have a similar opening? Because in the first episode of Macross, Ichijo gets into one of the cockpits of the thing, or no, that's Gundam, right? He gets into how does it go?
Okay, one, you're right on Macross. Two, for Mobile Suit Gundam, for Amuro had to go in the cockpit of the Gundam because he was about to get squashed by a Zaku. So he quickly got into his father's vehicle, read the instruction manual, which for some reason people keep forgetting, then learns how to pilot while rereading instruction manual and moving forward.
Yeah, so that mecha guy is saying that Macross is the one with the two-legged robot. Yeah, I remember that much more vividly. Macross was a really interesting.
You have humanoid robots and you're saying two-legged robots. You can't say that.
Okay, but two-legged as in they look like the ones from Star Wars. That were
that's
on the Ewok planet. Long two legs and then the cockpit.
Because you haven't reached that far in Gundam for the Big Zam.
Right. That is correct. Okay. Anyway. All right. So, Delos.
A little bit more from the special feature. The original concept was let's take Gundam and make Legos out of it.
Really?
But we don't want to do a toy product placement. But we don't want to do a toy product placement. Let's experiment with this direct to DVD. We'll call it OVA.
Yeah. Well, back then they probably called it OAV instead of OVA because that was the original title they gave it. But
they said OVA in there.
Really, because back in the day, I mean that's what it's known as now. But back in the day, they called them OAVs. But then they changed it because people were confused and thought it stood for original adult video. Not original video, not original animated video. So they switched it over to OVA, so it stands for original video animation. For whatever reason, that helps people to differentiate them from adult titles. So one thing that I really liked about it, and this is just Oshi shining through a little bit. First of all, the guy's attention to detail is really intense. Especially on movies like Ghost in the Shell 2. But the thing about Oshi, there's a couple of really, really incredibly animated scenes where they're loading guns with ammunition.
Yep.
Like that, like I said, I appreciate it on a different level. As somebody who's sat there and drawn 2D animation before, I really appreciated just the detail of a guy holding all these bullets and getting the bullet from being in a pile in his hand into the position of being in between his fingers and loading it into the magazine and like flipping it was really beautifully animated. Not only that, but also loading the actual loading it into the barrel and everything. It was some of those scenes were really well animated.
He had to do special research to know how to do that, since Japan has this whole gun ban.
But the thing also is that Japan is crazy into firearms because of their gun ban.
Yeah.
You know, so there's like, they have all these like they make entire lines of replicas over there that load actual like ammunition, the cap firing bullets. They look just like real bullets, but they load it and everything, and it just, they have a lot of exact replications that are produced for the Japanese hobbyists. So it is very pleasing to see, because also, and this kind of goes into like with Ghost in the Shell, which this isn't necessarily as much Oshi as it is, you know, other people involved in the projects. But one of the cool things about Ghost in the Shell is all the fake firearms, like Seburo and Mateba or whatever, and all the guns that they invented that could be legitimately real guns. They're designed with all the firing mechanisms and everything of a real firearm, which are not nearly as complicated as people who've never shot a gun seem to think they are. But they actually designed them to be usable in real life. Like if they could make a line of Seburo firearms in real life and sell them, like they would work. And it's just really cool to see the amount of detail and like that, because there's a passion behind that. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. I love it. Like I said, I love it when I'll buy just about anything. I'm a sucker for anything that's either clever or where you can just see the passion. Like somebody is so passionate about something that you can see that come through in the product that they're making. So things like Gunsmith Cats, just the level of detail in the cars and the guns and stuff that Kenichi Sonata does, I'll buy it for that. Or, for instance, Berserk. Any panel in any issue of the Berserk manga is a work of art, because what's that guy's name? How am I forgetting that? Kentaro Miura. That guy, just his attention to detail. You know, you can tell that he has a passion for anatomy, not just human anatomy, but like the horses, the tigers, just all that stuff. The way that he draws and how he shows the mechanical movements of suits of armor. You know, all that stuff. You can just see that passion, and it just soaks through every page of that manga. And that, I'll buy anything like that, because it's just that passion. When you see it, it gets you excited for the project. You know what I mean? It gets you excited for what you're looking at. So I like Dallos.
What's your 2 cents on going back to the scientific aspect of like the depressurization differentials causing them to explode inside the spacesuits? And also, well, let's go over that first.
Well, scientifically speaking, that's kind of, I don't think that that's exactly true, but they were like you said, it's a bunch of sci-fi stuff. That was kind of like established sci-fi lore, like from Total Recall kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or they even kind of did it, and it was a little bit more believable pressurizing wise in Macross Plus, you know, but I would have liked them to actually have explored that threat more in Dallos. What do you think?
Yeah, that kind of jumps back to, well, first off, there's a difference. There's always going to be a difference between movie explosion and real life explosion. There's not much excitement in real life. That's why I have all this massive gore instead of
are a whole different mess.
Oh yeah. So you have that. So probably if you want to be realistic, you may lose your eye. If it's that bad of a pressure differential, you may lose your eye or quickly have blood just run out your nose.
Yeah, like in Macross Plus, but the guy's
I haven't
eye
seen
like
it
it's. You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
I wish I hadn't said anything.
Well, I'm looking forward to it now.
Well, yeah.
Um,
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
You have that going on. Them acknowledging that the atmosphere changes. Granted, probably well, a hyper fantasy, but at least you know the details there. Then you also, my second point, also have like this kind of referring back to where the Chinese, when the emperor's men would invade or the bandits would invade, they would take like common tools that they would have to defend each other.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like how
that was how the ninja that was how the ninja clan. Yeah, they basically took the idea of the Japanese ninja and they like took it and futurized it. Because the thing about ninja weapons, for the most part, the thing about ninja weapons is that they were farming tools, like the scythe, you know, and all that. Those were farming tools, and they developed an entire martial art and everything behind. Or maybe this isn't necessarily specifically ninja, but more.
I'm saying martial art.
Yeah, more just like the martial arts in well, like you brought up China, but yeah, it's another good example is that they built their martial arts around the tools that they were using in their farming communities as a way to defend themselves from like the imperial government and all that stuff. So yeah, that was interesting to see them do that. And it was also an interesting way that they showed them kind of coming up with that idea of, I never thought about using mining equipment as a weapon, you know?
Yeah.
It was kind of dumb, but at the same, it kind of worked, you know, the way that they established it. Because it seems like if you were using that every day, you would have thought of that, but from a storytelling aspect of being able to get the audience on board with understanding that these are not weapons. It's not like they're just letting them have all these, you know, super robot weapons. It's that these are mining tools and that they're using them as weapons. I thought they handled it well for how old it was.
Okay, for character introductions, except for the ones that they want to focus on, like Alex, Shun, Rachel, Gramps. How'd you feel about these other characters like Max and Melinda just jumping in there in the next episode? I know that's going to be off-putting for some, but
I kind of liked it, actually.
I kind of liked it, but I kind of thought it was a little bit funny that all of a sudden my best friend I've always known for many years is right beside me fighting with me.
Ooh. Yeah, I liked the. Let me put it this way: when you watch it, it feels unsophisticated. It feels amateur, like the people putting the story together didn't understand the tried and true methods of making a story. But there's some charm in that, you know. Yeah. Like when you watch things like Game of Thrones. Or if you read the books of Game of Thrones, it's an intentional deconstruction of the Tolkien-esque fantasy on purpose, right? This doesn't feel like it's on purpose. Let me put it that way. It doesn't feel like it was intentionally on purpose done. It feels amateurish. I don't think it was amateurish. I think that it was an intentional decision. Well, but the way it plays out feels unpolished, unrefined. Let's put it that way.
What we wouldn't get unless you watched the special with the interview. By the way, Mamoru Oshii looks like a grown-up Asian version of the Campbell Soup Kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it.
Let me ask: does he have his blinking shirt in the behind-the-scenes interview stuff?
He's in the shadow most of the wall, from what I've seen.
Oh no. The connection's getting kind of bad.
Uh-oh.
Danny sent me a message on Facebook saying that YouTube's giving him errors.
Yeah.
Okay, you're back. You're back. You, for a second, it was acting up.
quickly answering that mecha guy, what's the most common trope cliches that you guys are tired of seeing in anime? I'm tired of the main character punching the ground. It's about the same as Adam West stabbing the sea in Family Guy. It just doesn't do anything. And why is everyone yelling in monotone? I kind of get you get different voices in monotones, but come on, ADR director, make it sound like it's in stereo or a normal talking voice.
Well, if you want to call it a trope, I'll just bring up harems again. There's a lot of those that I just like I'm done with it. I'm so done with it.
Okay, fine. You can watch all the Warren Host Heist Club that you like.
Well, let me put it this way. Oh My Goddess, I think, is one of the most overrated shows ever. I can't stand that lovey-dovey, no real problems in a relationship kind of show. I hate that.
With how that show is written, though, they can't just end it. You wouldn't have the show then.
Have I ever told you about, like...
Let's get back to Dallas before we continue on.
You're right.
Okay, so... the resolution of the war, or this really a conflict. I kind of found, for me, I kind of like the whole. He explained how everything was going to happen, like what people were doing at the end, which that's something I would end up doing, which is people will resume their normal life.
Right.
However, they affected the big people that. Or behind the whole conflict to begin with.
Yeah, I thought that it was really interesting, the ending shot, which is also the cover of the DVD.
Oh yeah, when they revealed that was
the graveyard. I'm assuming
that was the graveyard. I think that's their sort of message that they were trying to deliver.
Yeah,
once again, going back to your amateurish comment, I still say this is experimental than amateurish, but it doesn't really demonstrate the whole.
What I'm saying is it comes off as amateurish. Right. I don't think it was. I think you're right. I think it was experimental, but I think to people watching it, because it's experimental, because it wasn't a developed idea that was fully fleshed out and done in many iterations and perfected, it comes off as amateurish.
Okay. Oof. I'm getting my verbs mixed up. Well, what questions do you have for me or want to point out?
I think I've basically gotten through everything. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. I finished watching it last night, and it's one of the reasons I'm so tired right now is because I finished watching. I had this moment where I was on episode 3 out of 4, and I dozed off during it, and then I woke up like 2 minutes later, and I was like, gosh, where was I? Like, what part was I at? And that triggered like me catching my second wind, which made it impossible to go to bed for like another 2 hours afterward. So I finished it and then went to bed at like 2:30 in the morning, and then had to get up super early to go to the hospital. Right. So I'm like totally out of it in that regard. But
so before we end Dallas, your thoughts on the red spectacle dogs?
Well, let me real quick say there's a part where, like you were talking about how they'll start the next episode and it's like, oh, then this character's there kind of thing. There is a part where it turned out to be Gramps, and it was very. I thought this is probably going to be Gramps, but they're standing around the character like, oh, this character is her. Okay, so it's okay. So Alex meets up with them in the like sewer area, and then Dallos starts to like react, and it causes that like earthquake basically. Yeah. So the next episode, Gramps is injured from stuff falling and everything or whatever, and he's like he's like on bed rest, right? But you never see who is actually there, and the whole time that's going on, I was thinking, I wonder if Alex is the one that they saved. And then I'm like, no, because Gramps was with them, it's got to be Gramps. But I thought it would have been really funny if it had ended up turning out to be Alex, because I could have really shifted the dynamic of of who's on whose side, you know.
Yeah.
But I just want to bring that up now regarding the dogs.
Yeah. The early prototype of the red spectacle warrior.
Well, the thing about Geronimo in that like suit with the like all the thing going like in and out of its veins, you know, like it had all the pumping stuff. That's another thing that I specifically thought like some guy had to sit here and draw that, you know, every frame of that. So that was my thought. I thought that one of the things I like about Oshii is that he does explore dogs like as a like it's not super common. Like it's not as common as you might expect. Everything else is real character driven, and he kind of creates characters out of dogs, which is sort of interesting. Sometimes he does a lot more with it than other times, but it's fun to see. It's kind of a good change of pace. So I liked him, and I liked the names they gave him, like Geronimo and whatnot. It's all the one I remember. And then
very English names, by the way.
Yeah, I named this episode of the podcast "Remember Bartholomew." That's a reference to a chant in Dalos that never really came up again, and Bartholomew seemed to have no bearing on the story at all afterward. So I guess I probably shouldn't have named it that, but I'm gonna keep it because I gotta find a name for something, you know, or I gotta find a name somewhere for it.
Well, you know, people will be thinking we might be talking about One Piece.
Oh, is there a character named Bartholomew in One Piece?
There's 2 characters named Bartholomew, which might be related. I don't know yet. It's for those not familiar but kind of know the characters. The big bear guy that's part robot that separates the Luffy and crew. Then later on, Luffy's worshiper with the green mohawk and I guess pig nose ring.
I may have watched like 2 episodes of One Piece total.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that reminds me though, something we were going to talk about. I think I sent it to you in a link.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking for it real quick. There's an Amazon exclusive Dragon Ball Z box set coming out on Blu-ray.
Did you get a price, or do you have to look at Funimation.com to get that?
No, it didn't have a price yet.
Okay,
I'm going to try to pull it up real quick before we move on. Go ahead and wrap up what you want to talk about.
Final thoughts for Dalos. I enjoyed it. It's a decent action flick. The message is sort of there, but sort of not. It's kind of written in an abstract. I can see some people not liking it due to the pace and how partial the story is put together.
I'll say I wish the dub had been on there.
Me too. However, the dub would have been a 45-minute episode, which now I'm even more curious to know how that would have changed it. Because they might have spliced up things to create a more concise story, or somehow just create some batshit crazy storyline to quickly sell something.
All right, I found the thing. I'm going to rejoin the call over here real quick, and I'll show it off.
Okay.
Just so you guys know about it, I kind of feel like this is another thing similar to the to our little pact with the Kickstarter stuff, that it's just important to know whenever there's an exclusive item you're not going to be able to get later if you don't get it now, kind of thing. So I'm just going to join the call real quick. Yes, I agree. Join.
Oh yeah, after you show that, can you bring up the 7 Seas link? For Miss Kobayashi's.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so here is the Dragon Ball Z seasons 1 through 9 Amazon exclusive. So it's the 7 seasons on Blu-ray in a chipboard art box. Slick. Not. Oh wait a minute. I was going to say it's not the image I would have put on the spine.
Yeah, I would have put like the 3 main villains around it, then the top picture.
Yeah, because when you put it in, it's going to be this. It's going to be this image here of Piccolo fighting Android 17.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because this one of Trunks fighting Android 18 looks much better. And it's going to, when you put it in, it's not going to have an end label here. So
Yeah.
That's kind of frustrating. But how many? It's 7.
7 Blu-rays.
Kind of get away. You can kind of get away with just turning it the other way because, wait, is it 7 or is it 9? I think it's 9 DVDs to the length. Yeah, it's 9 to the length of
9. I cannot read.
No, I'm saying that 9. Oh, it does say seasons 1 through 9. Oh, that's perfect. That's where did I get 7 from? I keep saying 7.
Well,
anyway,
there's 7 Dragon Balls.
Let me grab some. Yeah, maybe. Let me grab something real quick. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Alrighty. Now for the chat. Chat. And nothing's changed. Ooh. Yeah, so looking at this, what he's showing me, I don't know if you're looking at me or there. So he has an ad for Vampire Vixen and Fuzzy Lips Blu-ray.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was funny too. That the customers also viewed, and it's a bunch of porn from the Blu-ray releases for Media Blaster's new.
I can kind of understand that. I think they're putting some money in for more advertising. What's throwing me off is the South Park season 5.
Well, what's funny is that
have something
that I might have clicked on those things. I don't know. Well, not on this. I don't know. Am I logged in? I'm not even logged in. It must not be mine. Anyway,
I've always wanted. No.
So
not ADV.
Look at this is the set you've always wanted.
No, the one I want's the ADV one.
Yeah, this is the Harmony Gold one.
Yeah, I have the other one. Okay.
This is stop talking, Augie. This is 9 DVDs, right? Now, 9 DVDs is the amount you need, so that this way, basically, this is almost a. There, let me show you that way. Okay, I'm just going to click on my camera so it stops cutting to you. With 9 DVDs, you could basically put them in this way too, right? Because it's 9 DVDs is the. Oh, right. I've got to. In order to keep the box taut, I have an extra thin pack in here. I forgot to put that in there. But 9 DVDs is the amount you need. It's a box. It's a square. It's a perfect square. That's what I should have just shown, right? So what I was getting at is that on this, because it's 9 seasons, you legitimately could use any side you wanted to. It looks wrong, but it is basically a box, right? So you could use any one of these that you wanted to as your spine, is what I'm trying to get at over here with this real convoluted way of saying it. Sorry, guys.
Well, hey, at least
anyway,
the 60 DVDs right behind you.
What?
Yeah, well, at least, hey, it's a lot shorter than the 60 DVDs complete set of Urusei Yatsura.
Oh, yeah.
AKA
Yeah. Okay, there's another question. Is it Lum or Lum?
We say Lum.
Okay, I always thought it was Lum, too.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Watch the show. Tell us.
Riled up. We're about to wrap up. I think that Mecha guy. I appreciate you guys hanging out.
Thank you.
I'm exhausted right now. It's just I really need to get some rest. As I said earlier in the podcast, I took a NyQuil in the middle of the day, and it's just kicking my butt right now. Anyways, so let's. I'm gonna leave the call.
Let me quickly say something about Dragon Maid.
Yeah, I just left the call. Okay, I'll bring it up. Hold on.
All right.
Sorry about that. I forgot.
What are we going to watch next?
Death Parade.
Death Parade. Ooh. The show with the funny dancing at the beginning.
I know nothing about it except for what Duo has told me in his review or his theory video about Death Note and Death Parade being connected, which they technically kind of are. I totally just closed the link I meant to open. Come on. This should be easier. Why is it so hard? Got it. Join. And share screen.
It's some guy. Yeah, there we go. So if you scroll down slightly. Okay. So you have volumes 1 through 4 of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Then a pre-order for volume 5. Well, 1 through 4 completes Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It ends right there. So
Okay.
this volume 5, what this is telling me is they got the spin-off manga, and it's probably either going to call it either volume 5 or change the name totally to what it's supposed to be. That's something that was throwing me off. That's something that might be throwing people off. I finally completed this recently.
Yeah, I haven't
really.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I haven't started it.
I can't wait to own it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I am psyched to see that the spinoff is coming. I hope more's made. I think the creator was taken by surprise how well it was.
I think it's the meme ability of it that is doing it such a great service. With Kona, what's her name? Kona-chan?
Yes.
Yeah, or is it Kana?
I say Kona.
I don't remember. I think it's Kana.
I
think I'm thinking of Kana.
If it's Kana, it would be K-A.
Yeah, isn't it Kana? Isn't it spelled K-A-N-A?
Who are you talking about? The
pink-haired girl with the girl in Volume 2's cover.
Oh, let me go back to the shared image.
I already left the call again. Just click on the link.
I'll answer that next time.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we'll find that out. So we're ready to wrap up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I think the creator of Lucky Star is doing another manga, either right now or eventually, about a Higikimori that I've been excited to read into.
What is Higikimori?
Really? That's a neat.
A neat?
A neat. You don't know what a neat is? It's a person who has everything delivered to them and they don't leave the house.
Yeah, I got it. I'd never heard the Japanese term. This is like the NTR Netorare thing from last podcast. It's like I'd never heard the other term for it. I get it.
Okay.
And it's almost no different from already having done Lucky Star with Konara.
Yeah.
Except she goes out for school and stuff. So
she does work.
Yeah, that's true. So for next podcast, which is going to be not this next week, but the week after. So it's going to be, I think, the first Thursday in October.
Thursday in October and right after AWA. Ooh.
Right. So Thursday, October 5th. My daughter is scheduled to be born, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering, next week on Wednesday at like 5 in the morning. We're going to be in the hospital for a scheduled C-section. So that'll be Wednesday, September 27th. I'm going to try to watch all of Death Note before she's born. Or, sorry, Death Parade. So we're watching.
Say, your goals are pretty high there.
Why? It's 26 episodes? 12 episodes.
12 episodes for Death Parade, but all of Death Note before she's born.
So we're going to be watching Death Parade before the next podcast. And I'm just going to reiterate, since a lot of you guys didn't hear about this when I talked about it in the beginning, and I have to be careful with what I say because I'm like walking a line on YouTube's community guidelines when I say this. But I've had some issues with my Death Note first impressions video getting demonetized, and it's incorrectly been flagged because it has the title death in it, the word death in the title. So if you guys look in the description, I've got a playlist in there. I forgot to explain. I'll have to change the description to explain this, but there's 2 videos in the playlist because the looping is better to have a second video to offset it so that when they audit the views to make sure that somebody was actually sitting there, it basically fixes it. So anyway, if you guys want to help out, I need to reach 1,000 views in a 7-day period, and I just want to give it one more go before I give up on trying to do this and just let that video not make any money other than through YouTube Red people. So anyway, John Shane says, "Have you seen Welcome to the NHK? Because it's mentioned in that show. The neat yeah. So
you probably have the original.
Well, it's over there. I've got. You can't see it. I've got Welcome to the NHK. But I haven't
release or the Funimation release.
I have the art box with the 6 individual DVDs. Which one is that?
Well, I got the Funimation.
The horrible style box.
Yeah, the boxes that you don't like. It's made from Gonzo. So,
before we leave, one more thing we should bring up, just so that it's said. Augie and I were, we were just inquiring. I had been talking about Bailey boxes, which, if I can find one.
Well, I just remembered another topic before we can leave.
Okay, well, surely there's one. I mean, I know that there's Helsing right there. I can grab it.
Well, I do. Well, I do have one. Well, yeah, I have On My Strawberry Eggs right here.
Right. Yeah, so show them, like, pull it out so they can see. So this is called a Bailey box. It's a plastic case that has the insert sort of like folded into the plastic, and then you put the DVDs in there, right? So I had learned long ago that those were called Bailey boxes, and I never questioned that that's what they were actually called. And Augie and I were talking behind the scenes, and he inquired, like, am I sure that that's what they're called? Because he thought that
the
it was another name for
were Bailey boxes, and this was just some plastic thing.
Right. So he thought that chipboard boxes were called Bailey boxes. So I inquired about it somewhere on a Facebook group for anime collectors, and I tagged Sean Kleckner, who's the CEO and owner of Right Stuff. I tagged him in the question, and he got back to us, and he actually told us something very interesting, which is that they are indeed called Bailey boxes. And if you're unaware, the only company that's ever released something in a Bailey box, to my knowledge, is Geneon. And the reason why is because the person at Geneon who invented the Bailey box is John Bailey. So the name comes from that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Something interesting we learned a couple days ago, and I thought it would be fun little knowledge for you guys to have, because as collectors, it's just something that would be fun to know. Anyway, did you say you had another topic we had talked about before we leave?
One more that'll feed my ego quite well.
Oh, last weekend, I know the live action Dragon Ball movie.
3 live action Dragon Ball movies.
There are more than 3. Okay, so we're both right. I was referring to ones that have been released over here, but I didn't think that there were more. I felt like I would have known about it. Augie is right. There is a 3rd live action Dragon Ball movie, but it's not an official movie. Okay, it's like it's a bootleg movie with bootleg releases of it that do exist. It's called Dragon Ball Goku Fights, Goku Wins, or something like that. Yep. Is it Korean or? It's
Korean. Yeah, what you just said, that is Korean to a T, even though it begins with K.
So there's a release in Spain. God, I'm gonna share this screen instead. Hold on. I want to show you guys. I'm looking for this movie officially. Okay, if anybody finds it and knows where it is, it's called the release in Spain is called Dragon Ball Zero. Not Zero Verse Sting autocorrect. It's called Dragon Ball Zero. DVD. Here it is. I'm going to share screen here real quick. Share. Okay. So it's called Dragon Ball Zero. This is what it looks like. It's from Trash-O-Rama Distribution. As you know, as you can guess, at least they release a lot of trash. Here's the full cover thing. Now, what's funny about this? Again, this is a bootleg movie. It was unofficial. They didn't have the rights to make it. Apparently, the release is also a bootleg. And what's really funny about it is that behind the live-action Goku, yes, this is what he looks like. By the way, this movie's, if you want to watch this movie, it's on YouTube. I don't think that there's subtitles, though. But behind him, you can see Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and tucked away right here, Dragon Ball AF, which was an April Fool's joke. So it's not even using official artwork from Dragon Ball. Oh, man. Anyway, I was presenting just then, right? Yeah, I must have been.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Augie was right. There is a third live-action Dragon Ball. There are actually like 7 or 8 if you include all the fan-made ones that are listed on IMDb. There's a Metal Gear Solid one called Metal Gear Philanthropy. It's an unofficial, but this was a non-profit fan-made one. I've been waiting for them to put that out on DVD, to be honest. Obviously, they never will. But they got shut down. I'm really just going off on topic here about Metal Gear Philanthropy real quick. The people making that got shut down, so they never were able to make Philanthropy 2. And Hideo Kojima was like tweeting about it, like, can't wait to see the sequel. And it's like, we've been shut down by Konami. One more thing that they've done to ruin every fan's experience with games and whatnot. But anyway,
I'm not going to consider the fan stuff, because at that point, do you consider filmed LARPs of Dragon Ball Z considered into that?
No, but these are fan-made movies with like there's the ones by Robot Underdog. I think it's called Dragon Ball Light of Hope, which is a YouTube series. There's a bunch of them, and there are little short ones, that are just like, oh, okay, we did a live action fight scene. But then there are ones that are actually like, we are telling a story, and we are following conventional storytelling principles of, actually having a plot and actually, so it's one of those things where you don't really know how to define it, but you know it when you see it, kind of thing. Yeah. So there are a bunch of them. But the only ones that have been released officially over here are the 2 that I have. Dragon Ball The Magic Begins, which was released twice. Once in the original one, and then they got a bunch of money and added a bunch of crappy CG to it that ruins the movie. That's the other release. And then Dragon Ball Evolution, which is a hot mess of its own. Anyway, I think that is it for now. You got anything else you want to say before we wrap up fully?
Good night. Good night. Eat your vegetables. Don't run over anything that'll get you in trouble, and make sure that you get through that homework that you should be doing.
I love how Augie always ends with that, even though he's the only one who doesn't have work tomorrow. Like the schedule of the podcast is situated around when he has a day off, and it's like everybody else is forced into a Thursday night. It's like, yeah, I've got school and finals and stuff, but I'm watching the podcast, and he's like, oh, you should be studying. Anyway, all right, you guys. Well, thank you for watching. Again, we'll catch you again on October 5th, and for the next podcast, we're going to be watching Death Parade, and we're probably going to have duo review guest on that podcast, just because we've sort of been planning to talk about it this whole time, and it's going to be an interesting podcast because my daughter will definitely be born by then, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we'll catch you then. Thank you guys for watching, and see ya.
Have a great week.